Hello and welcome to episode 55 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined as usual by Shpeshal Ed.
What's going on? Yeah. Okay.
Figments, who's always cheerful.
Hello, everybody.
And
I'm cheerful.
Our very special guest, Miles Dompier from Windows Central. How you doing, Miles?
I'm fantastic. How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday?
Pretty good. It's late at night for some.
I imagine two people in this chat are incredibly tired right now.
True.
It's but I mean, early afternoon for me, so I'm pretty happy. I got a nice glass of water here.
Yeah.
It's Orthodox Easter this weekend, so already had a couple of late nights.
Oh boy.
And we'll be heading to my parents later on today for some lamb on the spit and some gyro, which is nice.
Nice.
But yeah, aside from that, just a bit tired at the minute, but I'll do my best.
He'll catch up. He'll wake up. You should see him when we first start chatting on Skype before we load this thing up. It's all haggard. You know,
the brain takes a few minutes to catch up to the body.
You think his 20-something looks come naturally. It takes work and effort, right?
Yeah.
And good genes.
Yeah, well, obviously. So, look, we're very fortunate to have Miles with us today, so it's a pleasure to have you along, sir. It was funny, just before we hit recording, I was saying to Miles that you kind of popped up out of nowhere, like, what was it, last year, and suddenly appeared in Windows Central, and was like, hey, everyone, I'm Miles, and I'm going to be doing some more stuff on video. And you guys are doing rather well. Right? How did that all come to be? Like, how did you suddenly get into Jez's phone book and him to give you a call?
It's been pretty wild, honestly. It started funny enough. I applied to work for the company as a Pokemon writer. They were looking for someone with a focus on Pokemon coverage, and I was like, I have lots of experience writing. I love Pokemon. Let's go. Put in my application. I have a background in audio production, video production, so that kind of stuff was highlighted in the interview. And then Jez reached out and he's like, hey, I know you applied to write about Pokemon, but how would you like to do some social content for our Windows Central gaming channel? I was like, yeah, I'm down. I love Xbox. Let's give it a shot. So it started off with me just doing some kind of like some meme templates and some social engagement style videos. And then kind of started just evolving there, getting more comfortable, getting more opportunities to like get on cam or get on the mic and talk about games and stuff. And yeah, from there it just kind of evolved to now I'm, I guess, the face of the Windows Central
the poster
gaming.
Boy.
Yeah, the pretty little face for Windows Central gaming over there.
Jez let you into his book of secrets, did he?
Yeah, so Jez is my partner in crime, so I spent a lot of time talking with Jez, who's been in the industry for a while, knows a lot of people, has a lot of good info. It's funny because I used to listen to Xbox 2 and, follow the Xbox community for a while. And that's how I was introduced to Jez and Rand, and then just BSing with Jez on Twitter over the years. And I didn't really think I'd be in a position where I'd be working with him.
Cool.
So if you asked me like 4 or 5 years ago, it was just kind of like, I like Xbox, so I'll interact with these people. And now fast forward a few years and I'm working directly with Jez basically every day. It's kind of funny.
That's awesome. I mean, it's funny because we saw, and no offense to the Windows Central Gaming YouTube channel, and they've got more subs than us, so go give them a look and a click and a like, etc. But we saw when you came on board, all the fancy graphics started coming in, and our art guy, we were like, they're up in their game. They're up in their game, like we've gone to great lengths to make sure our art style is pretty cohesive, and then we were like, Miles is coming in and he's up there, so it's, we're feeling threatened over here, a little channel like us, Yeah, but it's good to see.
I think we started when I jumped on board, and we weren't really doing much consistently in the way of video stuff. We had like the channel, but I think there was like 2,500-ish subs. And it had kind of been sitting there for like a year or two, not much activity. And then I think in like a year, from like May of last year to the end of the year, we went from like 2,500 subs to like 21,000.
It's amazing.
In like it was wild. It was awesome to see, ton of support. So that's been really cool. And it's, since then we've shifted the focus, and that's become more of a thing for me, which has been cool to have my own little pocket where I can ramble about stuff. And it's been wild. It's one of those things. I get to, talk to a lot of cool people consistently, and got to interview Joe Neat
Yeah,
recently.
I-
Nice.
I'm a big Sea of Thieves nerd. Like,
I'm bitter about this, Miles, because I had the pleasure of meeting Mike Chapman at XO19, and I was standing there watching the Everwild reveal with the Rare team, and a certain secret squirrel that I'm not allowed to talk about. The secret squirrel. If people know who the secret squirrel is, they know what I'm talking about. Very nice chap. And I was like, dude, you got to come on our podcast, blah 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 blah. And they've just not they've not been able to. And then boom. Well, no, I had a conversation and just before season 2 dropped, and they were like, "There's no opportunity on this occasion, but on the next big beat, we've got you in the book, etc., etc." So I'm hopeful because I, like you, I'm also a big Sea of Thieves fan, and I'm very. It's funny because I'm in the insider program, so I can't talk as much about what I want to talk about as a fan that's not in the insider program probably could, because we are under an NDA. But there's some very cool stuff coming to the game, and I want to talk about what's next and what their ideas are. And I don't think it's been in the insider program, but I'm scared now to even talk about my theories, because there was lots of items that they showed that kind of hinted at a new biome, but I haven't seen anything official, and I'm like, is it coming? And I want to ask them, and all sorts of fun stuff. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I'm bitterly jealous that you got to sit down and chat with those guys. But if you've been on this podcast before, you've probably seen we usually start off our general shows where we talk about what we've been playing over the last week or so. I don't know about you guys. I've been playing through Lost Words Beyond the Page, which was quite sad. And it's only because Phil Spencer shouted it out on Twitter, and one of our guys was like, "Oh, I'm going to go play that." And I was like, "Is it good?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm going to go play it too." It's quite a nice little game if you fancy a chill out time, but be prepared for some heavy subjects. And in a random tangent, because I know last week we went down this massive Marvel Cinematic Universe TV movie tangent, I'm going to do it again because I just watched it tonight with my kids before we went to bed. The Mitchells versus the Machines dropped yesterday or today on Netflix. It's by Chris Lord and is it someone Miller? I can't remember. Tom Miller. The guys who did Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, Lego Movie. Go watch it. It's brilliant. Like, even if it's a kids film, go watch it. Anyway, that's me. I'm going to shut up now. What about you guys? Anything?
Nick, you want to go first?
Me, I'm boring these days. I've just been playing the usual. Control, Rocket League, Fortnite.
Control's not usual. Control's a...
No, I've been
plowing through
mentioned it a few times now, just making my way through, and but generally just...
Have you got to the ashtray maze yet?
Yes, I got to it. Saw
Was it
the
broken?
doors changing and warping and stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm going back out."
Yeah. Come back to me when you go to the ashtray maze. Come back to me.
Yeah, I will attend to this later. And I've just gone back and I've started doing other stuff. That's it from me.
That's it? Really? Wow.
Yep.
Now I'm being put on the spotlight and I can't even come up with anything. Destiny 2.
No, shock.
We got back to Modern Warfare, playing it again. Apparently,
it's not broken anymore.
It's not. Well, I mean, you still have to go out of your way to fix it, but it's not broken.
It's not broken anymore.
It's quote unquote not broken. They added a new pistol to the game, which is a shock to me and everyone I know, because a supposedly dead game is getting new content. And that pistol is absolutely broken.
Sorry. In Modern Warfare, I'm picturing... This is convoluted, isn't it, Activision?
What?
Let's be honest. Are we talking about
Modern
the remake?
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2019.
Modern Warfare.
Okay. I was thinking of the Battle Royale.
Oh, that's Warzone.
Right, okay. Sorry. I don't know.
Anyway.
Isn't that Halo 5? I don't know.
Yeah. So they added a new pistol that's actually fundamentally broken. Like, I think I posted a clip of like a 15-second clip of me getting like a triple kill, almost a quad kill, just back to back. That's with this thing just going full auto, like a pocket SMG. And I'm wondering how the hell this made it past like QA.
Did you have fun?
Oh, I had fun.
That's how it made it past QA.
Why it's in the game as broken as it is. I'm not used to something getting put in the game as fundamentally broken as that. unless the game is Destiny, and which is like every expansion.
Ouch.
But yeah, Modern Warfare, Rainbow Six Siege, Destiny 2, MLB The Show. That's been really fun playing on Xbox. And I recently got invited to use the Xbox Cloud Gaming web app. And when it actually detects my account as valid, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I don't have 5G, so I'm not going to get like the perfect, almost near lagless experience. But also, the quality isn't as good as like my Series X. Not because of the latency or anything or the lowered resolution, but because it's running on the 1X version of games so far.
1S
version of games.
1S, yeah.
I'm waiting for that time when they update all the servers to Series X, so the at least the input latency problems will be slightly reduced.
Yeah, they're the Series X blades. I think Phil mentioned on Twitter that they're internal testing at the moment. So
yeah,
but I think
I did.
And I have no idea, right? But if they're so supply constrained, they've got this weird juggling act of, we want to launch this product, but we also want to sell this product. And so, yeah, I don't know. What about you, Miles? You've been playing anything new and exciting?
Yes. I can't really talk about it, but I've been playing Resident Evil Village, which I'm stoked on. Big
Nice.
Resident Evil fan. Resident Evil 7 for me was like the best case scenario for a kind of reimagining of that series. Was a huge fan of I would say the first 80% of Resident Evil 7, perfection.
Wow.
The tail end,
Everyone says that.
give or take.
Everyone says that.
It's when it comes to a horror game in terms of pacing, in terms of being scary, it's just.
Are you
it's just a
including the
masterpiece.
DLCs, which are pretty much like epilogues, or are you like
DLCs, whatever. The what is it? End of Zoe, where you just bare knuckle punching molded for an hour. Fun, amazing. Chris's add-on, terrible, really stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the core game, the core base game.
Yeah.
First 80% until you get to the boat, and then at the boat things start to drag, momentum tanks. It's got your stereotypical, we're in a secret research facility, and then you're like, okay, we're in. It reminds you, like, okay, this is a Resident Evil game. All right, we're back in.
Of course, they gotta play up the hand.
same thing.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, and then Second Extinction though. Been dabbling with that with some buddies.
I forgot that one.
Good, stupid fun. Just the gore and ragdoll is perfect. You shoot a raptor in the foot, it flies like 600 feet in the air. Just dumb good time. Having a lot of fun with that. It's was a little buggy day one, like tons of disconnects, but played last night like 4 or 5 matches with no issues. So that's been a lot of fun too.
That's good.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
The show has been a plague of connection issues. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Like it has its own in-game friends list, and that's the only way you can invite like a person to play against you. And it will never sync up whether or not someone is online correctly. Like they'll be in the game, and Xbox will say they're in the game online, but then you look at your in-game friends list, and they're offline, and you can't do anything. And then you have to restart the game multiple times to get the servers to catch up. It's just, and sometimes you're in the middle of an exhibition match against one of your friends, and all of a sudden the connection drops out and you lose everything. Oof. And it's just and you can be in the middle of the six innings out of 9, and you're just connection drops, game over. And it sucks, especially when the game up to that point has been even, and you can't really decide a winner yet because you haven't played the full thing. But I mean, I hope Sony fixes those issues. That's weird for me to say, by the way, that Sony fixes issues on an Xbox game. I've noted multiple times when I load up the show that the PlayStation Studios logo doesn't belong on my Series X.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's there.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a strange feling to see
strange
that.
New world we're living in.
Yeah. I hope I see more of it. Let's get Ratchet and Clank on Xbox.
I don't think there's a huge, sports league behind the scenes that owns, Ratchet and Clank and can force that across. But you can want things.
I can want things. Yeah.
Did PlayStation players not see the Xbox Studios logo with like Minecraft or Minecraft Dungeons or anything?
They must do.
They do. Probably.
They would.
Okay. Yeah. I don't play games on my PS4 except Persona, so it's pretty much.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. Speaking of Ratchet and Clank, good lord, that game looks very fancy.
Looks
doesn't
good.
it?
I love those games.
It looks really clean, like phenomenally clean.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it looks great.
But I mean,
Absolutely.
Insomniac is a studio of basically geniuses at this point. I mean, Spider-Man was really good. Miles Morales was like aesthetically well done. Same thing with Sunset Overdrive. Still has one of the most unique styles of like that kind of third-person open world aspect. God,
Yeah, they're good.
they're really
All
good.
those
Yeah.
Ratchet games are good. The only one I was funny on was All for One, but all the other Ratchet games from Tools. I mean, my first one was Tools of Destruction on PS3, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I've played and platinumed every single one since. They're so good.
Yeah. Speaking, and seeing as we're on the subject, and yes, this is still an Xbox podcast. Don't get your knickers in a twist, folks. Anyone been playing Returnal at all? Did anyone pick it up?
I want to. It's 100% my jam. This really niche horror roguelike that's brutally difficult. That is right up my alley. And if I wasn't playing Village right now, I would 100% be playing it, but haven't picked it up yet. Heard nothing but amazing things from people who are playing it. Like, if you love those brutal roguelikes, people seem to be super into it.
Yeah.
The discussion around save games and that has been interesting to watch. Like, considering it's a roguelike, and like you have games like Hades where you can save at the end of every like stage, I guess, every world.
Yeah.
And you just play Returnal and there's nothing. You quit the game, you lose all that progress. Doesn't matter how far you got. And a lot of the similar conversations around save states that I'm seeing in Returnal, the same conversations, almost word for word, that I've saw with Dark Souls with easy mode. And it's just like, the whole discussion of, well, it's the developer's intention. Should they cave to people who, cave is a strong word. Should they acquiesce to people who want like to be
That's
able
a fancy
to spend,
word.
to be able to spend minor, like small amounts of time in the game because they have a busy life, or should it cater to people that the game was designed to cater to, you know?
Or do you just add an option and let people select how they want to play?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had
quick
quick resume, right?
I was just about to say, if only the operating system had a feature, something where they could
It has. What's funny is it does have that freaking suspend
regime.
Yeah.
But then what happens if you want to play a different game?
But apparently, from what I've heard of PlayStation 5 owners, it is absolutely buggy. A system update wipes out your quick loads or whatever, like your suspended games, and like that's just what I've heard from people.
No. Suspend resume.
Okay.
Like on PS4, suspend resume is flawless on PS5. But the fact that Xbox quick resume and suspend resume seems to survive updates and power outages, that's a freak of nature. That's something separate. But suspend resume under normal circumstances on PS5 is as flawless as it was on PS4. It works perfectly. But I've noticed a lot of people online saying that they need. Well, I've just noticed a lot of people online saying that with Returnal, they sometimes they need a break because it gets very intense and it gets very full on, and the runs are quite long.
Yeah.
But of course, if they suspend it, they can't go and play something else. They're tied to Returnal, obviously, because suspend resume only works with one game.
Yeah.
Bummer. Yeah, I love Housemarque, but I mean, I've said it how many times. I adore Housemarque, but $125 is just
Australian dollars, by the way, for our US viewers.
Yeah, Australian dollars, 125 Australian dollars. It's like, I don't know.
The thing is, I got to admire them because they've taken their genre and molded it to fit.
Oh yeah, it is a stellar from everything I've seen.
AAA narrative, right? And it looks gorgeous, like all the particle physics and stuff. Like, this is really nice. But at the end of the day, a niche game, doesn't matter what wrapper you put on it, it's still going to be a niche game. And Americans, if you're wondering what niche means, it's when you guys use the word niche incorrectly. Sorry, Miles.
I mean, I live in California. Figments. I've never heard anyone say niche.
Everyone says niche that I've met from America. I work for an American company, and I'm like, guys, it's niche. Anyway, the Queen's English, gentlemen. Come on.
I mean, it's a French word, so it's whatever.
Yeah, all right. English is a bastardization of German and French.
So anyway, moving on. We did mention Minecraft Dungeons earlier, right?
Yeah.
We didn't mention Minecraft.
We did. It was the splash screen with Xbox.
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah. Okay.
And apparently cloud saves is now a thing too.
Yes, finally.
I know.
God, that should have been there day one. Seriously, that should have been there day one.
Now, I think I missed this piece of news. Did they also announce CrossPlay was coming? Or was it
was already there.
Was it
That
already
got
there?
added a couple months ago, right?
Yeah,
like later.
late.
Like it took a while.
Yeah.
CrossPlay.
Yeah, okay.
Crossplay.
Crossplay was not at launch.
Was added. No, it wasn't at launch, but it
No, it
was
wasn't.
added not very long after launch.
Okay.
But the cross progression thing is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. I think that's what everybody's
want to
waiting
play. Yeah, I didn't really want to play on Switch anymore. But Switch is where I started, so I had to. I was
Plowing on.
Yeah, so I had to be tied to the Switch, and I was like, I don't want to play this on Switch anymore. I'm just going to wait for the cloud saves to come, and I'll start playing on Xbox. So
Is it
that's
me?
May 5th.
I saw someone post, I can't remember if it was a news article or someone posted on our forums, but it was a conversation about how out of all of Microsoft's first-party teams, Mojang seems to operate in a way that is almost surprisingly counterintuitive to a lot of the other directives of every other first-party team. Like, they've got their own special rule set. Like if you think we live in a world of play anywhere and cross-play and cloud saves and the fact that these things weren't there is odd to me, considering how much of a cash cow Minecraft is.
I know.
I mean, is that odd? It's to me.
I mean,
am I
not
alone?
necessarily. You can think about Mojang as the golden goose of Microsoft at this point. That Minecraft alone rakes in several $1 billion worth of revenue. I think at this point, Microsoft is just satisfied with leaving them well enough alone to do whatever they want, because it seems to be working in the long run.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still found the lack of cross progression at launch weird.
It was weird. But
Dungeons, and remember, Dungeons would have just missed out on being affected by COVID as well, because it launched early last year. So it just missed out. So it seemed odd to me that crossplay and cross progression weren't there.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
Peculiar, to say the least.
Yeah, the whole rollout of Minecraft Dungeons made me feel like they just weren't confident in if people would be excited about it, because the rollout was so soft for that game. Yeah. It's Minecraft. Like, that in and of itself will have a huge install base. And as they saw, a ton of people played Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah.
And it's been one of their most played
Diablo
games on like mobile, like for touch controls too. So it's weird that they were unsure about that game, seemingly. But yeah, the rollout was weird. No cross save, no cross play, no cross progression. It was not ideal with their whole kind of unified infrastructure that they've been pushing recently.
It was like the odd one out of a very synchronized, harmonious bunch. So
and I'd argue it probably should have been. It should have been like the biggest one.
Yeah,
it's like it's Minecraft Diablo. Like that sounds like an instant hit to me. But
it's a winning formula for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of this, I read again on our forums. I read someone talking about this, and I swear they wrote, "Didn't Jez give Minecraft Dungeons 7 out of 5?" And I was like, did he? Like, I don't. I read his review. I think he gave it 5.
Jez loved it.
I know he loved it, but apparently someone joked and he put 2 extra stars out of the 5. Which
I don't think he did. I'm fairly certain he did not, but I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go look on Metacritic now for Jez's review and see if it's 7 out of 5, because that'll crack me up. But yeah,
he loves the game.
He does, and you know, it's great, and my kids still love it. Like my little boy plays with his cousin every day, and they're shouting. And the funny thing is, the game gives you loot, but it gives you separated loot, so you can't pick up each other's But every time I hear my boy, "That's not fair! You got the hammer that I wanted. I'm leaving the party." And it's like, I keep having to like, dude, the game is designed to both give you something. Like, you can't pick it up even if Aiden wanted to give it to you. Chill out. And he's like, still screaming. Makes me laugh. Anyway, in other news this week, Fall Guys, another fun multiplayer party game that was meant to be coming to Xbox this summer and Switch, I think.
Yep, and Switch.
Was delayed because I believe they, speaking of crossplay and everything else, they wanted to launch with crossplay. And everything enabled.
Which is honestly a good move considering a game like that needs a large player base. And you're considering like the game launched like late last year, right? Was it late last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was summer
2019, right? Summer 2019 or summer 2020?
Mid last year, I think.
Summer 2020,
Summer 2020.
And it was PlayStation Plus, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, straight in.
And I mean, from what I understand, the game has been slowly but surely falling off the radar for a lot of people. So now, don't take that as like 100% gospel, because on the periphery of Fall Guys, doesn't seem like it's that much popular anymore. So I would imagine having crossplay would give it some boost.
I think you're right in some respects. I think whoever ran the Fall Guys social media account, I've got to tip my hat to them, because having to wear the multiple hats, for XboxEra, they did a phenomenal job of somehow making that game have all of these memes and all of these crossovers and suddenly it was everywhere, and being on PlayStation Plus, it exploded in popularity and blah 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 blah. But then, it's a party game.
Then the meme
silly.
died,
and then it kind of just it feels like that social media hype fell away, and then the game was on its own, and it was like, it's a fun party game. The end. I don't know. I'm still really looking forward to play it. I've played it on Steam with some friends. It's fun. And if it's on Xbox, I'll probably play it more.
My daughter loves it.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's got to be. We don't know, by the way, but it's got to be something that they'll look to launch straight into Game Pass, surely.
You think?
Oh, I think that's probably an inevitability. If not at launch, then soon after launch.
Very soon after, like Rocket League did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it just screams, we need to put this on Game Pass to make sure the player numbers stay up.
Yeah.
But I mean, another news too. We also got an update on Halo Infinite PC. That was exciting.
Oh, you know what? Let's buckle up for this. I feel that there's a lengthy conversation to be had here, and that's not to take the shine off of the You Had Me at Halo team, who I know got together shortly after that blog post went live and talked through it. And if you haven't seen that, go and have a look on. I think it's episode 18. They sit down. I think that was their first live video episode, similar to the format that we do here. So go check it out. But I mean, I watched the gameplay presentation from last year. God, the whole COVID 18 months is a blur now. From last year. And I wasn't one of those people that was like, ew, the graphics suck. I was like, it kind of looks like Halo. Like, I'm not expecting it to be a graphical powerhouse. But then I think back now to Halo 4 in particular, which, considering
which was
what it was running on at the time.
A 720p lock 30 FPS, almost near perfection of an aesthetic.
And it's funny,
stunning game.
I just watched a mod video before we jumped on of a mod called Reflow for Halo 4 on PC, which turns down all of the over-the-top bloom in Halo 4 and makes it look, I'd argue now with hindsight, even nicer than it did on PC with the standard lighting, etc, etc. But when the Halo Infinite demo dropped, I was like, the gameplay, that's the thing that I honestly truly care about. I was like, this looks like a really fun Halo game that I am going to play the shit out of. But then obviously the Craig memes and everything else, and they've been very careful now since this year started with these monthly updates that really dive deep. And as an owner of a 32:9 monitor, I'm looking at it right now. I am extremely excited to play Halo Infinite in that aspect ratio as per the screenshots.
Super ultra wide,
with everything and all the bells and whistles turned up to the max. But I mean, do you guys? I look at the improvements that they've shown, and they are there, they are tangible, and I feel it is the same, but more. There's more detail, but not over messy the image. It doesn't complicate it. It just feels better in every way, like the lighting, everything. Are you guys as happy with it as perhaps I am as a
I think
big
it's
Halo fanboy?
Honestly, I'm happy with it in the respects that it feels like a more refined aesthetic quality than what we saw in the trailer last year. It feels more polished, like less plastic, I would say. A lot more, rough around the edges. It looks good. It looks really good. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I was Miles? In the same camp as you when I first saw that gameplay reveal. I wasn't super negative on it. I was stoked about the grappling hook. I was stoked to see him grab the barrels and throw it at brutes. I was like, okay, gameplay. This is looking tight. It looks like a refinement of what I love about Halo. And then I go on Twitter and it's just people are dumping on it. And I'm just like, oh wow, people did not like the way it looked. Again, I wasn't expecting insane graphics from Halo Infinite. Maybe that was why, but. I don't know if you guys have seen the side-by-side comparisons from like the Halo 1 screens to what they showed. Oh, when
it
I see
ticks
that,
the box of that nostalgia box, and it's like,
oh, dude, when I see that, I'm like, Halo Infinite looks like what we imagined Halo Combat Evolved looked like
it does.
Way back in the day. So for me, yes, I'm excited because they are obviously tapping into the nostalgia a bit and saying like, we understand why you love Halo, and we are going to take what you love about Halo into quote unquote the next gen or whatever cliche buzzword you want to throw. But for me, that's exactly what I want. Give me all the best of Halo, make it bigger, make it bolder, give me some new gadgets, and yeah, graphically, I'm excited. It looks like a more polished version of classic Halo, and I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it's a good.
I do appreciate the news of up to 120 degrees field of view for console as well as PC, because Halo has a notoriously very small FOV. At least Halo 5 did. Halo 5 was awful. It was very narrow.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I don't play on PC much and I don't do the ultra wide thing. I've played other games that allow you to change the field of view, first person shooters. And I don't know if it's because of the 16:9, but I find that when you adjust the field of view,
it
starts to get very fisheye.
Yeah.
And I just ended up resetting it to the default because it just looked too warped.
It's a really tricky one to answer. Yes, some games really dramatically fisheye, because you can kind of, the game will just be like, yeah, okay. And Sea of Thieves isn't particularly, it doesn't go 32. I play it in 32:9 if I'm playing on PC, because the core focus is still right there in the middle, and the rest is just your periphery vision, and it helps, keep an eye on stuff. But you do get that big fisheye lens effect. But games that are designed for it, where the HUD stays in the right place and it isn't pinged out to the sides which is a nightmare. When it's designed for it, and the screenshots that they showed seemed very clear, there was no warping of those, and that's the thing. If you want a game to support that res, you have to design for it in the first instance. Like I remember when I was chatting to Thomas Mahler about Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I was like, do you support 32:9, please God, because that would look epic. And he was like 21:9, but 32:9 is just, there's so much extra artwork and design work that they have to do to make that work. So that's fair enough. But it's a great res to play, and if you can do it, it's a shame console doesn't support it. It's a shame I can't plug my Series X in to this monitor. But
with the tight hardware restrictions and the graphical budget of consoles, I doubt that's going to be even possible. I'm sure the Series X can run a 32:9 game, but can it run a 32:9 game at 4K? No.
Yeah.
You still need a 3070 in some cases, a 2070 at the bare minimum to run a 32:9 game anywhere close to 1440p.
Yeah, I have to admit, see, my 32:9 monitors technically two 1080p monitors next to each other, right? So it's not 1440p or anything like that. And I've got an RTX 2070 Super. And I'm just hoping, because obviously I'm going to play it on my Series X. That's probably going to be my bread and butter, because I'm a console kid at heart and I can't use a mouse and keyboard in FPS to save my life. But I am definitely going to play the campaign on my own in that mode, because this monitor supports the high frame rates and everything else. So either way, I'm going to be in heaven come later this year.
The fisheye effect for FOV that Nick mentioned, though, is I don't really see it much because I'm used to playing it high. Like if there's an FOV setting in any game I play, it goes to the highest FOV I can set it to. Because like most shooters in games just have such a narrow default field of view that it actually like I know a friend of mine can't play at anything other than max FOV in Sea of Thieves because it physically makes him ill to play at default settings.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a narrow field like perspective.
Yeah.
And it's just I know like the bigger monitors help with that and also reduce the fisheye lens effect. But if you're not going to be running at like anything higher than 16:9, you're gonna need high FOV. And honestly, the fisheye effect isn't that big of a deal once you get used to it.
Yeah, because it is just on the outside edge of your.
Yeah, it is just on the outside edge. So and not to mention the competitive advantage and like competitive FPS that it can give you, because now you can see more without having to have a bigger monitor. You know.
Yeah, and
you know what 343 needs to do though?
What?
They need to stop including brutes in their reveals. I've already seen.
Oh god, yeah, the brute that's kind of
Twitter.
half on the floor because he's mid-step or something.
I've already seen Toxic Gaming Twitter try and meme that brute into existence
Craig
now.
2.0,
Like they need to just stop putting brutes in any of the artwork, in any of the footage.
Well,
look. I saw the screenshots. I still think Xbox One has held this game back. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I still think tying this damn game to Xbox One has held it back from looking as good as it could. I understand that Halo, outside of 4, Halo has never been known as being the visual masterpiece of each console generation or anything like that. I don't know. There's obviously most people are obviously happy with how it looks. I don't care enough about graphics for it to bother me. I know I'm going to play it and I'm going to love it and whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the lighting that's not sitting with me well. I don't know what it is. I think maybe I just like my visual flair, and like Halo 4 made a lot of sacrifices to what makes Halo Halo in order to look the way it does.
Yeah,
I get it. Like I understand that toxic Twitter loves to just show how great Sony games look compared to Halo and Gears or whatever, but there are things that Halo does that Sony's games do not. And if Sony's games tried to do these things, they probably wouldn't look quite as good as they do. Like, you know, Halo Infinite is an open world, 60 FPS, lots of physics, lots of AI, lots of this, lots of that. I don't know if it... And when you're trying to do all that and tie it down to Xbox One... Yeah, I'm just trying to be careful about what I say.
That's honestly my concern too. Is just like when you keep it on an old console, and it like the graphics wise, it wouldn't be that bad. But you got to consider the CPU in that thing is barely better than like an iPhone from 4 years ago. You know, it's just not up to the task of running all these complex simulation stuff. And it's just
I don't know.
I don't want that sense of like scale in the experience and the immersion to be held back by like my concern isn't the graphics. My concern is, will the gameplay be noticeably affected by not having the processing power necessary to run all these different numbers everywhere? You know,
I'm fully expecting the Xbox One version to be 720p 30 campaign.
Oh God, yeah.
The multiplayer will stay in sync with whatever the frame rate is necessary, so it'll be 60 across the board on Xbox One for the multi, but I'm fully expecting campaign to be
720 30.
Yeah. But here's a question, and it kind of ties into everything you just said, and I'll go for Miles for an answer to this one, put you on the spot a little bit. Do you feel that Halo as a franchise, as a video game, it has to hold an unfair amount of pressure? compared to every other gaming franchise out there in terms of expectations from its fan base. Because, I mean, from personal experience, Halo fans are a mixture of amazing and passionate and horrible people.
Psychotic.
And I feel for the developers, right? And I see all this stuff.
Arguing about Sprint for 10 years.
Do you think that they are held to a higher standard than any other game would be compared to... And to give you a context to something to feed off of, if a game comes out and it's a single-player game and it's one and done and it gets 9s out of 10s, right, because it's a great campaign, but it's one and done in 15 hours. Halo Infinite comes out and it has a one-and-done campaign that's fully co-op multiplayer with a massive multiplayer suite, with a huge forged map editor, with a photo mode, with whatever, and it gets 7 out of 10s because the campaign isn't great. Do you feel that there's something wrong with the way that the Halo franchise is viewed compared to other games? I'll shut up now.
The problem with that Halo is in, especially Halo Infinite, I've said this countless times before, it sucks for 343 because Halo Infinite can't be a good game. Halo Infinite has to be one of the best, if not the best Halo that's ever been made, which sucks for them. That's a lot of pressure. And it sucks that Halo 5, when that dropped, it wasn't even reviewed that poorly.
No, it's like 86 meta.
Yeah,
no.
in retrospect, you're like, Halo 5 sucks, it's garbage, and that's when you hit and you hit and you hit, and then you miss. People notice that miss way more than they like appreciate the hits. So now there's these conversations of, is Halo dead? Is Halo a dying brand? Do people care about Halo? And so they're going to need to come out and hit. The thing that sucks for like Halo and games in that genre is they don't typically get in the same like Game of the Year conversations.
Nope.
So even if Halo Infinite comes out and nails it, 9 out of 10, people love it. Is it going to be in the Game of the Year conversations? Is it going to be up against like Last of Us 3 or 2 or whatever we're throwing in that mix?
Is wrong, so no.
And that sucks for Halo because I'm sure Halo Infinite.
John isn't a sad dad.
But yeah. Halo is in a tough position right now because Halo 5 people didn't love. They had plans for Halo 6. Those got scrapped completely.
Like immediately.
Yeah, they were like, it was going to be like 2 years after Halo 5 came out that Halo 6 was coming out. And then they're like, oh, no, we have to completely shift the direction of this. So thankfully it took some time to reevaluate Halo because Halo 5 multiplayer, phenomenal.
Yes.
I had no complaints about Halo 5 multiplayer.
Heck yeah.
Amazing.
Halo 5 campaign, woof.
Yeah.
It was, I guess, again, it wasn't bad. It was boring. It was boring for a Halo game.
Forgettable. Very forgettable.
Very forgettable. So I'm hoping Infinite nails it. It really needs to nail it, and that again sucks for that team. But
and you also have to consider that like 343 is carrying on a torch that Bungie created, and for all the studio's faults, there's one thing that can be said about Bungie, and that is they cultivate these massive, heavily invested fan bases that have very particular wants and needs for a specific franchise. Like, I said this a lot on the Discord. The Destiny fan base and the Halo fan base are basically the same damn fan base because they act the same. Like, it's all the same complaints. It's all the same noise. It's all the same praise. It's just fans of a Bungie game. And 343 has been in the position for years now of trying to redefine Halo as their game. But they can't. Not entirely, at least, because when they try, every time the Bungie fans push back, because this at its core is a Bungie franchise, and there's just a lot of baggage there to deal with too in that regard.
Yeah, see, like on the visuals we were talking about, the other thing people forget, and it has an impact on the visuals, it has to. Infinite supporting 4-player split screen.
Yeah.
So would Last of Us 2 still look like The Last of Us 2 if it had to support 4-player split-screen co-op? It wouldn't.
Yeah,
would Uncharted? Would Horizon? Would... So this is the thing that people forget, and it's... Oh, God. You know what? I'm not going to say the things that I want to say because there's a rabbit hole that's going to go down and there's a reaction it's going to cause. Probably better we don't get into it. But... like John was saying before, there are expectations on Xbox games that were set back on the 360 generation.
Yeah.
That Sony's first-party games are not bound by.
Yeah.
And those things have an effect on games. And it would be nice if not so much gamers, because gamers are idiots, but if at
Sorry,
least
everyone.
if at least the gaming media acknowledged it and took it into account when reviewing, when reporting, when discussing, when whatever.
Yeah.
Like, could Halo Infinite look better? Yes. It could be a showpiece like Halo 4 was, if it made all the sacrifices Halo 4 did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they could make it look ridiculous.
It's important to talk about dynamic lighting too, which is going to be a huge learning curve for developers and players, because Halo Infinite has dynamic lighting, and that's why everyone looked at it and said, ew, this looks flat. Why does this look so flat? If we're comparing it to, let's say, The Last of Us, that's like a movie set. So each scene in that game is carefully curated. There's artificial lighting. There's different set pieces here, perfectly put in the exact position so it looks really good. And that is a cool style. It looks great. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
But Halo has to create this world where the light exists as a source of light in this world, and then you can do whatever you want in that space. So there's not necessarily, especially in the open world, like here's the sun in the sky. Those scenes in particular, like dynamic lighting can look worse.
Yeah.
If you, from a screenshot perspective, when you're in that space and playing that game, dynamic lighting is way more impactful, way more powerful. But when you look at it, when you freeze frame it, when you take a screenshot, like that looks flat. And so that's going to be a huge learning curve for a lot of people, and a lot of players too. And I hate the you take a still shot of Last of Us 2, and then you take a still shot of Halo Infinite, and you compare those side by side, and you're like, one looks better. Therefore this game is better. Those comparisons are just the worst.
Yeah,
because it's way more complicated than that. But people love that.
That's just a discussion that, oh boy, could I say some stuff? But
it's probably best we steer away. But I guess, you know, and that's the other point of this, right? When I think about what Halo Infinite is going to be, it isn't going to be just a one and done. It isn't going to just try. It's not trying to be the Game of the Year award winner by, you know, giving us a plot with some challenging themes, etc., etc. You're going to be a super soldier shooting aliens in the face. It's a video game, boys and girls. But when you look at the content you get, you know, if I get my money and I look at what I can buy, the content differential is huge compared to the majority. You know, I'd say the same for Gears 5, for example, which has the benefit of being gorgeous and having all of these extra pieces of content. And I look at how sometimes games are reviewed, and it feels like everything apart from the campaign is the afterthought. You know, if it's a game that ticks every box, and then that's what the score. That's where the majority of my time talking about the game goes to. It doesn't dive into those other important areas, because arguably, once you've done the campaign, the multiplayer is where you're going to be spending 90% of your time. It's just odd to me. It just really strikes me as strange that's the way it's done.
It's honestly like
weird.
I would even. This sounds probably weird to say, but in some part, Microsoft's first-party studios kind of dug their own graves on this by adding so much to their games and coming to get people to expect so much out of them. I mean, but Sony, look, like Last of Us 1 came out with a multiplayer mode, like online. It was with the multiplayer mode with a campaign. Last of Us 2 still doesn't have a multiplayer mode, and do you see anyone talking about it? No one cares. Whereas Halo 5 launches without Forge, and that comes 6 months later, and like that 6 months is full of, well, why the hell did they not just delay this game to put Forge in? Why are they wasting my money?
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's why I said the gaming media needs to just look at how, like, back, you know, you were saying that Microsoft first-party studios dug their own grave. I don't think they did. Back in the 360 generation, that sort of stuff was acknowledged in reviews, and it was acknowledged in media coverage. Yeah. Now it's not. So I wouldn't say that Microsoft dug their own grave. Well, that's why I said I wish the gaming media
Yeah, that's why I kind of said it's a little bit like off to say that, but in a sense, because the expectations of the time when these franchises became established, became huge names, was also the time when reviewers and players appreciated more and more content and more variety of content in their games. The expectation has already been set by that generation, and now carrying the torch forward, while it's still a good problem to have of, people expect your games to have a lot of content, it's also crap. If we don't have all the content players expect, then we're going to get absolutely creamed in the news.
Yeah. It's another on Twitter. You mentioned the forge delay for Halo 5, as a keen and avid forger. I felt that. It wasn't 6 months, it was like a month-ish, a month and a half.
Was it a month?
Something like that. Yeah, it was very, very shortly after launch. But it was long enough for the majority, anecdotally, of all of my pals to go, where's all my custom game options and shenanigans? Oh, and they bounced. And that was the end of Halo 5. And no matter how much I was like, dudes, this is cool, you can make this thing. No, they're gone. They moved on. And that's why, much to Miles' point, Halo Infinite can't just be a good game. It has to be the best game it can be come launch.
And it has to have everything.
Yeah. It has to have
Arguably, Microsoft is the only first-party publisher that we have that has this burden of having to make every big tentpole title into basically a suite of things. Like you're a platform to build on. That's good and bad. But I would say a lot of it is just,
Yeah. Well,
like the sign of the times, I guess.
Look at the reason it's bad. The reason it's bad isn't because of Halo, and it's not because of Microsoft. I don't even know if it's because of gamers. It's because the gaming media won't acknowledge it.
Yeah. Well, okay.
They won't acknowledge it.
At the end of...
and it's really annoying.
At the end of the update this week, we had a little teeny tease, a little blurb from Joe Staten, who said something along the line, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but something along the lines of, words, this is about 1,000 words, but a picture is worth 10,000 words, and plans are afoot for summer events. So, we all knew we were going to see Halo Infinite again in a big fashion this year. I mean, what do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to try and, again, here's a campaign demo, look how much better it looks. Will they do the same campaign demo? Will they try and show off some other stuff? Will they do a deep, complete dive? Or they'll do multiplayer and announce a beta or something like that? Will they show off every feature set? Like, what do you think, Miles? Do you think they're going to show off everything in across the board, or will it just be campaign one and done?
Yeah, I imagine we'll get a new trailer, this is like the updated version. I would love to see them have a nod to that gameplay reveal, like have maybe a slice of that and be like, do a side-by-side, show people that they've improved, because obviously that's been their focus. That's why they've shifted to pretty much every month we're going to tell you something about Halo. We're going to give you a breakdown of everything going on that we've been doing to make Halo the best Halo. So I would love to see a nod there. I imagine we'll get that new campaign footage, the multiplayer reveal, at least one of them their new biggest mode, I imagine is going to be like, I'm hoping it's like whatever their Warzone is going to be, because I don't expect them to do a straight battle royale, but I expect Halo Infinite to have a big mode, like a big player mode, big team battle 2.0. Yeah, something like, So I'm expecting that, and I'm also expecting it to be, if they were smart, and they have promised that they're going to give enough time to beta test multiplayer, they better drop that beta like the day that they showcase multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're running out of time at this point.
The day should be E3 at this point. Like, I 100% need to see the Halo Infinite multiplayer beta drop day and date with the announcement trailers at E3.
And if they do a campaign demo, please don't melee anyone.
Don't get up close to a brute.
Keep all the enemies at a distance. Just sniper them. Like, just please don't melee.
Don't show
any of the enemies. Please don't.
Do you know what I would really love? Because you mentioned it earlier, Miles, the lighting system. Because obviously it's real time, and they've got a light object up, a sun, and it's going to do its thing. I'd love it if they do one of those campaign demos. I'm sure I've seen. I can't remember what dev did this at E3, but they started off a mission and it was the daytime and it was all dynamic, and then they got to a cutscene and they did the cutscene and they went, in the interest of time, and they just had that come up. But I'd love to see the sun actually move, so you could see the real-time lighting change, and then you do the night part of that that mission or whatever. That would be super, super cool. So I hope they try and, because they seem super confident that they've made a great game. And I'm as a Halo fan, I'm probably the most confident I've been in years that they understand what's the average Halo fan. But I think they get what the majority, maybe, of Halo fans really, really want from a game. And man, I can't wait for summer. Man, it's only 5 weeks away till E3, something like that.
Yeah,
it's
we're
May.
Pretty much 5 weeks away.
I'm gonna book some holiday, man. I need to have. We're going to be live streaming this on the day, obviously. Little live stream reaction. We'll get some of the XboxEra
at a reasonable time this time.
Oh, you're going to be up at 3 a.m. and you're going to love it, my friend.
Microsoft's E3s have generally been at a reasonable time. Outside of last year, their actual E3s have generally been at a pretty good time.
It's usually like 8 a.m. Pacific time-ish? 9 a.m. Pacific?
It's like,
usually?
It's like 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. UK time, which EST is like 9 a.m., right? So something, I don't know. We'll find out. Or 8 p.m., I don't know. Whatever. We're going to be there, and it's going to be a good show, hopefully. And we'll get into more. I think we've got a little section coming up where I think we'll just lock Nick and Miles in a room and let them rumourmill themselves to death. But yeah, Halo Infinite is coming out in the fall. Speaking of the Fallen Order, it's got a Series X. Hey! I'm here all weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
I got confused by this at first because we got not a Series X update, but the game got updated for the next-gen consoles.
It just got a frame rate unlocked, didn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it was just frame rate.
Okay. I was thrown by this because I love Fallen Order. It was a good game. As janky as it was a good game. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what this update brings. Like, really interested, because we're already running it basically 4K 60 as we are. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's interesting. I fell off that game after maybe 6-7 hours or so. I don't feel like I gave it a fair shot, or something came up in life.
I enjoyed it.
I'm going to use this as an excuse to go back in, or at least I would. And apologies if this section on Fallen Order is pretty short, but I'm going to segue anyway. It would be pretty short if Mass Effect Trilogy wasn't coming out in 14 days. And I know that's 3 games that I definitely want to play through all over again. Do you know what scares me? Mass Effect is one of my favourite sci-fi trilogies of all time. It is just so good. And I'm scared that I no longer have the time that I used to have in my 20s to play through it in the same way that I did. Every night, this is great. And I'm worried I'm going to just be like, I've played it once, whatever. I can't do that. I need to see it through again, because it was such a good time. Every single game was so much fun. But yeah, there's lots coming. It's good. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. We haven't technically got a new rumor mill, but I like playing. I like playing this animation anyway.
Jingle?
So I'm going to play the jingle anyway, because we're going to do a slightly different take on the rumor mill. Nick's got some updates on something he dropped on Twitter earlier this week, and then I think
we can talk about what Miles had as well.
Miles did a very neat little video which dived into all sorts of things about dragons and IOI, and it's all out there. So I'm going to press this button, and then we'll be back in a second. We can still talk during this on the track. The music is so good.
I should have never planted the idea for a jingle in John's head. That's my mistake.
That was my idea, mate.
I love that.
Was it your idea?
I
remember it was someone's idea.
It was Nick's insistence on Bananarama, and I kept saying no because it was going to get copyright striked or something. But we seem to keep getting away with it, so it's going to continue.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the sort of rumor mill face off, Nick, do you want to talk about the Mandalorian?
Okay. So, yeah.
Buckle up, people. We're in for a ride.
Yeah. So, funny story. So, I was told about a Mandalorian game that was, either being pitched, being made. Disney were all go on a Mandalorian game happening. I was told about it back in January. And I went back and watched our podcast episode straight after I was told about that. And on that episode, I had a rumor mill. And the rumor mill was that there was going to be a Star Wars High Republic game. That was potentially going to be Xbox exclusive.
Yep.
I completely forgot about that. It wasn't even in my OneNote. Because back then is around the time that I put my OneNote together.
Do you remember what episode this was?
It was I think it was the last one in January, I think.
This year?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just because people will want to go click back.
Yeah. I went and back and watched it. And I also said that I watched the episode and I saw myself go all funny. And I said, I got told something I'm super excited about, but I can't say. That was The Mandalorian. And then Jeff Grubb had his video with Phil's shelf again. And I was watching the Twitter feed and everything, and someone's like, oh, hold on, there's a Mandalorian Funko there. And so I've had a look at the image, and I'm zooming in, and I'm like, oh, holy crap. I think that is a Mandalorian Funko. So I went and had a chat with my source. I'm like, look, Phil's got a Mandalorian Funko on his shelf. Can I, mention now that the Mandalorian game is happening? And they're like, oh, look, yeah, if he's got it on the shelf, then fine, go mention the game. But look, we still don't know the studio that's attached to it. We still don't know anything about it. Okay, cool, that's fine. So that's when I went and, took that image and quote tweeted it and said, hey, there's a Mando game. And then
Twitter were very quick to point out you were not correct about what that Funko was.
On our forum and on Twitter, people are like, isn't that the Arbiter? And I'm like, oh no. I was like, oh no. And I went back to my source. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, but that wasn't a Mandalorian Funko. It was actually the Arbiter. And they're like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay. They were.
You got away with
I was absolutely crapping myself that I had burned. I was worried that they might have thought I had intentionally misled them in order to be able to talk about the Mandalorian, but they were fine with it. So I haven't burned my source. We're still friends. And that is the thing that I was very excited about back in January. That there is a Mandalorian game being shopped around. I don't believe it's in active development. I've already seen articles saying, there's a Mandalorian game in development. I don't believe it's in development. I think it's being pitched for. And, I had said a while back, Microsoft is looking at other Lucasfilm IP. They're not just doing indie. They're looking at more stuff.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if High Republic is on that list. I wouldn't be surprised if Mandalorian is on that list.
When I think of the Mandalorian, the studio I immediately think of that could definitely probably take a break from a certain franchise that's probably a little bit long in the tooth would be the Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick one.
Oh, look, I think Coalition could make a good Mandalorian game, but once again, I went back to an episode with Jeff Grubb that we did, and I said to Jeff, we said on that episode, we brought up E3. And in that episode, I said, I've just got this funny feeling something Star Wars is going to turn up at E3, at Microsoft's E3. And I also said, what are ZeniMax working on?
Yeah,
and
ZeniMax Online.
Yeah, people started tagging me on Twitter going, well, hold on, ZeniMax Online hired someone with Star Wars experience.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that's why I'm like,
millions of Twitter fanboys cry out in panic and were suddenly silenced.
I said then as well that a lot of their job listings were indicating that their next game wasn't an online MMO type thing. So I don't know. Are ZeniMax doing the Mandalorian game? Maybe they pitched for it. Maybe the Lucasfilm thing with Indy was a deal with Bethesda, and maybe they've got Mandalorian and something else as well. Sometimes this stuff comes in packages. It's not just a one game deal.
That would feel kind of strange, though, wouldn't it?
Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to articulate. I had it on the tip of my tongue what I was going to say, and now I can't remember what I'm about to say.
Because now you look foolish.
I'm baffled that ZeniMax Online would be doing a non-MMO Star Wars game.
I get what you mean, because their bread and butter is online titles.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even call it bread and butter. I mean, the only game to their name so far is Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
So, like.
Well, the clue is in the studio name, arguably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's got the word online in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like if they were to do a Mandalorian game, that doesn't mean it wouldn't have online aspects. It just might not be an MMO.
Make it a Dark Souls game.
Maybe it could be maybe it could be a co-op shooter, or I don't know, like who knows? Like,
maybe the Mandalorian's
there's a
got
lot of possibilities.
a little baby that he's really sad about, and he's assumed some sort of dad role, and it should be played from the third-person cinematic perspective.
Look after Grogu.
Yeah, that's an award winner right there. Lots of people love that baby.
I don't know. Yeah. So for those watching, I don't believe the Mandalorian game is actively in development right now, as far as I'm aware. But I know Disney, or I've been told Disney is green light. They're like, yep, Mandalorian game, just not sure on the studio. That is why I've been holding on to it for 4 months. My source was saying, let's wait. I'll wait till I know what the studio is before you say anything. And then I accidentally...
It's kind of interesting that Sony and Microsoft are kind of going with like the different Disney departments. I mean, Sony's going with Marvel, Microsoft's going with Lucasfilm, which kind of sucks for Microsoft at least, because Lucasfilm only has Star Wars and Indie, and that's pretty much it. And Marvel has a bazillion different IPs underneath their label.
That is true. That is true. But I would argue that historically, Star Wars games have dumped on Marvel games from the highest heights. No? Yes?
Yeah.
Outside of maybe Marvel versus Capcom 3, I'd agree with you.
I said, like, mostly. Like,
critically, commercially successful.
The best Star Wars game, like, there's been way more Star Wars games than there's been Marvel games. And despite the overall quality, it has also been consistently better on the Star Wars games than the Marvel games.
Okay.
Like,
now I do remember what I was about to say.
Now it's too late. You've lost your chance.
No. The reason why is because weren't the rumors pointing at ZeniMax working on an original IP? Why would it be Star Wars then?
Yeah.
Because Mandalorian is a new IP.
It's not an original IP though. It'd be borrowing an IP that already exists to make a game off of it.
Still a new IP though. There's never been a Mandalorian game.
That, and also, why is it that
being technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Why is it that Lucasfilm is going with Bethesda? Let's just say the deal was with Bethesda at the time. Why is Lucasfilm going with Bethesda when EA still has a Star Wars license?
Well, the EA announced this year that they have to share that license now.
Yeah,
that was a big announcement.
License anymore.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, that's why
it's like license to Star Wars. So that's just opened a whole can of worms as to like who can be making a Star Wars game, because it used to be only EA, but now EA, or basically Lucasfilm, is looking at other teams and say, all right, what can you do? Because I mean, the EA was supposed to make way more Star Wars games than they did. That's part of the reason that the exclusivity contract was not renewed, because I'm sure Lucasfilm was not super stoked on how everything played out there. But I would be curious to see. I mean, if it is a deal with Bethesda, which I don't have any information to say that there is some sort of deal with Bethesda. You look at their portfolio of like machine games. I think that would be a team that could make an incredible cinematic Star Wars game if they were to do something like that. You want a Mandalorian game? Throw Machine Games at that. I would be all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're busy making Indiana Jones, which is like doesn't sound like a Machine Games type affair, does it?
Staff them up.
Exactly. Split that team. Let's go. Let's.
I'm intrigued.
And you have to guess on the EA thing. Like, Disney, as anyone knows, this isn't like some super secret information. Disney is ridiculously protective of their IP now.
Yes.
You have to assume that there was probably a clause in that contract with EA that said, if we start to see any damage to our IP and our brand, we're calling it quits. Like, you have to assume something like that was in that contract. Like, Battlefront 2... I would not be surprised if Battlefront 2 was the breaking point for Disney.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, Disney's like, nah, man, we're not having this. We're going to start letting others make
especially with the loot box controversy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's just Disney would not have been happy about that at all.
If that's the case, I'm curious if a similar deal is in place with the Marvel games, because it can't be Sony that just has the rights to like make. I know because so far it's just Spider-Man, but we've also seen Marvel Ultimate Alliance from a different developer exclusive to Switch, and then Avengers from Square Enix.
Iron Man VR.
Yeah, well, Iron Man VR is a unique case because they have a console VR system and no one else does. You know, like I'm
surprised it's not given to at least Oculus though.
Well, you know, if they didn't have a team and they didn't want to say you know, you got to think Oculus got I don't think Vader Immortal came out on PlayStation, did it?
No. I don't like it exclusive.
They clearly shop around a little bit, which lends further credence to, you know, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, if it's going to have a Star Wars game, it's going to be exclusive, it's going to be multi-platform. I don't think so. I think you know the evidence points to the contrary. Like if Microsoft...
I think Marvel's Marvel and Lucasfilm are completely fine with making exclusive games.
Yeah.
I think Disney doesn't care as long as the game's received well and sells a lot. You know.
Yeah. But it's an interesting rumor.
I would not be surprised at all if Microsoft, we've said this before, if Microsoft is like, you know what, they can have Marvel, we will lean fully into Star Wars, because Star Wars has always had that association with Xbox anyway.
Yeah.
It's been there
can you imagine if there's a team at Obsidian working on the next Coder game? I think EA has the IP rights to that, doesn't they? Or is that with Disney?
Oh god,
but whatever.
I have no idea.
I've never played KOTOR, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I would like.
That's bad.
I would like Force Unleashed 3. I want Force Unleashed. I like
Force Unleashed. It was.
I don't want hammy Star Wars. I'm sorry. If I wanted hammy Star Wars, I'd watch the prequel trilogy.
You know, everyone loves Jedi Fallen Order. For those of you that love Jedi Fallen Order, go play Force Unleashed. Like, Fallen Order is almost virtually Force Unleashed 3. Almost. It's just in gameplay and, like, those Force Unleashed games were so good.
I loved all the physics stuff in Force Unleashed. Like, all the really crazy... What was it called? It was called the... It had a name.
Yeah, they did have a special engine or something, didn't they?
I can't remember what it's called now. But it might come to me. Later on in the podcast, I'll just shout a word and it'll be like,
and the first
my brain's connected it.
Enhanced too.
Yeah.
First game. It's X enhanced.
Definitely worth a look.
And it'd be nice if they could get, like, both the first and second game could get, like, FPS boost. But we don't know. With FPS boost, we don't know if that's coming to 360 games officially, do we?
No, it sounds like they are testing it to see if it's something they can do consistently. But they've publicly said that they are working on 360 games, but they're not going to confirm that 360 games will work, basically.
That's a good segue, though.
Well, before we do, apologies. I don't know if it's coming through on the mic or not, but this may amuse some of you. There appear to be some rather frivolous foxes outside my window.
Is that a
out in the street? Yeah, it's like next to my house. There's just a massive hedgerow and then loads of fields, and I can hear them. They're doing things. They're doing nasty things. But apologies if that's coming through on my mic, ladies and gentlemen. It's not me. Anyway, sorry. Random tangent.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. The segue worked out well because I'd love to have those Force Unleashed games get FPS boosted, but then we also have rumors.
I thought you were going to say I'd love to have those foxes in my room with me, and I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Sorry, dude.
We have heard rumors of a massive list of FPS boost games coming.
Yeah, Tom Warren.
Yeah.
He did a fun little tweet. Look up here, then look down there, then look over here.
Yeah.
50
games.
Look. Cheeky little tease.
He is cheeky.
We may have also received information from someone. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to say who. But yeah, I'm pretty confident based on this person's info that list is coming next week.
Cool.
And also got told 3 of the games that are rumored to be part of the list.
Go on.
There's another 67, I guess, left over if the number of 70 is to be believed. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to disclose because that
Go on,
yeah,
give me
that came
one.
From,
Give me one. Come on, you can
apparently
do it.
Recall.
Recall.
Apparently Recall's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
There you go. That's
Which
right.
I'm happy about because I like that game. But I don't know if the rumor is true and it's like 70 games or something like that. Surely we get Rise, Crackdown 3, Dead Rising 3, Sunset Overdrive, Forza Horizon 3. What other brilliant games are stuck in 30 frames hell?
I imagine we'll get the Evil Within 1 is still 30 FPS. I have to imagine some of those are going to include the Bethesda games that don't have the boost.
Yeah. Evil Within 2 as well. Is that 30?
That one's unlocked, so that one's 60 on Series X.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunset Overdrive needs it so bad. So bad.
Yeah. I've seen people say Killer Instinct. I'm like, no, I don't think Killer Instinct.
Instinct doesn't need an FPS boost because 60 is perfect for fighting 60 games.
That's right, but what I'm saying is with the 120, apparently with Killer Instinct and the way it's built, apparently 120 could break it or something.
Frame timings are very important.
Yeah, it's very finely tuned to 60 because apparently
that's any fighting game though.
But Samurai Showdown runs at 120 on Series X.
But that was a deliberate update from the developer, not.
Yeah,
that's
FPS
right.
Boost.
That's exactly right. And that's what I was saying. Like Killer Instinct is built in such a way where I think doing the FPS boost could break something. Because I think Killer Instinct.
Move it to 8K instead. Give it an 8K update.
Resident
8K.
Nice.
Why?
Just why not?
Why not?
But Killer Instinct's already 4K anyway.
Yeah,
it's
got
4K already. Enhanced
4K
to 4K. So Killer Instinct's already perfect. But I'm just trying to think what other 30 FPS games could really.
Dark Souls 3, for the love of God.
Yeah, oh my God. Be a big one.
Someone replied to me on Twitter with that, shouting the same way.
In caps. Exclamation marks.
Here's the thing: if they can get a 60 FPS like non-developer patch to come in, enhance the game to 60, I hope that means the frame timings are fixed. I'm fine with 30. But the game feels like such a jittery mess because all the frame timings are all over the place. Like it's ridiculous how chuggy and start and stop that game feels.
It's sad because that is the only Dark Souls game on Xbox that's not 60.
Yeah,
and that is my favorite Dark Souls by far.
Oh, really?
I think Dark Souls 3 is the best thing that From Software has done. That's my take.
I mean, it's wrong. It's actually Chrome Hounds, but we're all entitled to our opinions.
Okay. No. It's Metal Wolf Chaos, obviously.
It's not Ninja Blade.
No, it's not Ninja QTE Blade.
I've never played Ninja Blade. I don't know. I just know it's made by From.
If we're going down that route.
Oh God. Oh God.
But I don't know. Hopefully the rumor is true. I'm confident it is.
What I would like to see.
Yeah. What I would like to see is Microsoft do something for the OG Xbox games of going back and adding in widescreen hacks for the games that won't look terrible with it.
Instead of 4x3.
Instead of 4x3, because you have stuff like Morrowind that's 4x3. I think Ninja Gaiden is also 4x3, right?
Gaiden.
Is it Gaiden Black?
No, Ninja Gaiden Black's widescreen.
Is it 16:9?
It's widescreen.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden Black's widescreen. Okay.
Then I'm thinking of something else.
But
regardless,
you've got to remember a lot of OG Xbox games had widescreen options anyway because the console supported 720.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm saying specifically go back to the games that weren't with widescreen built in and try and figure out a way to get widescreen available, because honestly, being able to play those games is nice, but I would like it to take up my whole damn TV, please. I don't want the black bars on the side.
I can live with that. Given what we get with the OG games, I can live with the 4x3 aspect ratio, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully the FPS boost rumor is true, and I'd also like, because AMD had their thing. What was the AMD thing?
They announced the Fidelity FX for Xbox.
Hopefully that DLSS.
Yeah, well, it's not okay. So
it's on its way.
They didn't announce they announced that Super Resolution is still in the works, but that Fidelity FX is supported on Series X. And Fidelity FX isn't just Super Resolution. It's a bunch of other like back-end tools to help with, displaying an image on the screen. But Super Resolution, I was actually having a conversation of this with my friends. Super Resolution is going to be the golden goose for the Series S. Because all of a sudden, you're going to be able to run those games maybe at 720p, but you can upscale them to 4K, like easy, and get that looking really nice without sacrificing performance. Or heck, get it 1080p, scale that up to 1440. You're fine then.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. We had this discussion on the podcast before the console's launch. Like we said, that if they can have the ML upscaling in the Series S day one, that console would be able to hold its own against anything.
Yeah, that console will be able to last for a very long time, for a very good amount of time too, and honestly, justifying the purchase in a lot of ways. I mean, outside of the 500 gigabyte SSD, that's basically no room for any modern AAA game. But God, now that I'm thinking about it, I hope Halo isn't more than 100 gigabytes. I really hope it's not more than 100 gigabytes.
It's gonna be big.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be big. Think about it. If you have the Series S, you could literally have your Series S hard drive filled with nothing but Halo. If you had the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, you're done. That is your hard drive.
Yeah. And then it's an extra $200 of royalties to get the freaking SSD.
I tell you what, though,
SSD expansion
that
card.
thing is awesome. Like, because I've got my Series X here, and I've got my Series S downstairs, and just being able to yank the memory card to and fro, and it's instant, and it works every time, and it's just as performant. It's just like, this is the best. Yeah, it was a ridiculous premium, but I was very lucky.
I'm hoping because weren't the memory cards announced with like, okay, we don't have an exclusive deal with Seagate to make these things. We're gonna try and shop them out to whoever wants to make them. Yada yada yada. Yep. Hopefully that'll get the prices to come down. I'm just waiting for like a WD drive that's 1 terabyte that's like $150.
Yeah,
that'll be very nice because I don't trust Seagate like at all. So
they were an interesting partner of choice.
Now that the timestamps are destroyed, we'll try and get it back on track.
Let's get back on track.
Now, Miles, Dragons.
Yes,
let's just get into this.
As you've seen on Twitter, I'm sure homie Jez has been teasing dragons for quite some time. Dragon emojis, dragon gifs, all that sort of stuff. Yep. We originally kind of put the idea out in the ether that there are potentially these 4 games being prototyped with Xbox Game Studios developed. And we didn't really give much info. We had some info. We were, just putting the idea out there, rumors and all that jazz. And then, more recently this week, we kind of gave some specifics on the dragon. And when I was on Game On Daily Live a few weeks ago, I talked about how one of these games was from a developer in a genre that you would not expect them to make a game in at all. Yeah. And that was in reference to IO Interactive ditching Agent 47 or turning Agent 47 into Squire 47 and focusing a lot more on this kind of fantasy universe. And then Hakan Abrick, the CEO, basically confirmed that outside of the 007 project, a team was working on a passion project. And that's rumored to, I don't know that this is one and the same, but the rumor is that is this Project Dragon, if you will.
Yeah.
Now,
which I think you guys have received further corroboration on from, was it Eurogamer, I want to say?
Eurogamer, yeah. There's been a few other people who've come out and said, we have some
Jeff
other
Grubb as well.
Yeah.
So it's super early in prototyping. I don't think it's in really active development in maybe pre-production, maybe concepts and stuff like that. But that is not going to be. People are asking, "Are we seeing it at E3? Is it coming at E3 this year?"
No.
Not even. No. Maybe not even E3 next year, if we're being realistic.
Yeah, probably not.
But
probably not.
There was the other one as well that Jez has been teasing, and this.
The cyclone?
You mean the cyclone or the Typhoon?
Yeah. Now, like, I've had some detail on this, and it felt like, I got this, like, I think, Nick, we spoke about this probably like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I was like, this is what I've heard, and you were like, I've got the same. But there seems to be an unwritten rule. Don't talk about it. It's way far out. And then I think that teasing has just been relentless because you see that blue logo and everyone thinks Ubisoft Plus. Because it's very similar.
Dreamcast. That was the one that always cracks me up. Like, no,
Dreamcast backwards compatibility.
I saw people like, Ubisoft games on Game Pass. I'm like, I said that in January.
Like the Uplay rumor is a completely different thing. Like that, I expect to be coming sometime this year. But
no, it's happening. It's happening at the end of the year. Like I put my neck on the line and I said in January, I can confirm 100% Ubisoft games are coming to Game Pass. And I see people say, "Oh, do you reckon Ubisoft games are coming to Game Pass?" I'm like,
"What do you mean? Chopped liver?"
Like, why do people keep talking about that like it might be? It is happening.
But that's a separate. Just to be clear, that's a separate game project next to. Project
if we're going in the world of teases, the Dragon and the Cyclone are two different projects.
Yes, they are.
But both equally ambitious, it seems.
Yes. I talked to again on Game on Daily Live. They're both that one, the Dragon one I said was from a developer you wouldn't expect in that genre, and then the Cyclone one was, a developer working on something in terms of like multiplayer that people wouldn't really expect from them as well.
Yeah.
Like
so it's exciting. I'm excited.
I don't want to say something wrong. I don't want to say something wrong here because I'm aware of both projects. You haven't mentioned the studio.
No. We're not going to. It's
Cyclone project.
Yeah,
we haven't. We haven't said that
because I didn't want to accidentally say something because I'm aware of both, but I've sworn to secrecy. And it's funny, like Jez mentioned IOI and this sort of stuff, and I went back and I'm like, wait. You told me not to say anything about the IOI thing.
He's saving a scoop for himself. You can't blame the man.
And they're like, I don't know. That's if Jez wants to do that, Jez is doing it. I was like, man,
it's
so annoying.
But so we attached IO to the Dragon thing very recently. But the other one, the Cyclone, we haven't done anything.
Okay, because I didn't want to say anything by accident. So all right, good.
We're not going to attach anyone to it either. So, so the long and short is, and I think Jez particularly has been quite passionate in his wording about this, in that. We know now that the game has changed for Microsoft internally when it comes to where Xbox is positioned and what it's worth. It's now a core pillar up there with Office and Windows and Azure and etc. etc. But this is them really planning out that content pipeline years and years in advance and queuing up these teams and queuing up these games. And the unfortunate thing about gamers in general is that we're all impatient bastards that have no interest in how the sausage is made. Give me my Dragon game, you bastards, and we would urge everyone to just be like, you've got all the games you know about that you've seen either CGI trailers for, or they've been announced. That's the stuff you should look forward to in your near to short term, mid-term. This is the stuff you'll see in 2 years where it'll suddenly be like, ba-ba, here's this cool game. I did that in the Rugrats tune. I hope anyone noticed out there. But so it's interesting stuff. But it just feels like Microsoft are just constantly. I mean, we've been saying this like week in, week out. It's every week they're doing something to keep themselves in the news. Yeah, it's good to be a Xbox focused content creator or an Xbox focused publication or team. It's just, we eating. It's great.
Keeps you busy. That's for sure.
Can I ask you something, Miles?
Sure.
With this IOI Dragon thing, do you believe, because again, you and Jez have the details, none of us do. Do you think that this IOI project, because I can't remember if you said this or not, are you two working under the assumption that Microsoft has decided to sign this pitch and go with it?
It's not 100%. Like we don't know 100% that Xbox is definitely going to produce this game as it stands right now. There's no confirmation. This isn't 100% reality that this is definitely going to be published by Xbox.
Just hearsay.
For the time.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, if we worked under the assumption that it has been, do we think, like, I've always said that I believe Returnal is Housemarque's audition for acquisition. So when I heard about this dragon thing and how ambitious and this, that, the other, I think, is this IOI's audition for acquisition with Microsoft?
The big... Yeah, been we talked about it before the show, but there's been the rumblings that IO could get scooped up by Xbox for a while. Like that started ramping up aggressively early this year. And that's definitely a possibility. We know Xbox is looking for the right partners. They are not really in the business of just scooping up anyone and everyone. That is not their MO right now. So
no, that's Embracer.
It needs to it needs to be someone that makes sense. It needs to be someone that has a track record that they can trust. And so maybe this is an audition, if you will, for future. We look at I think Bloober Team is kind of in that phase right now with Xbox as well, where they're partnering, working on it. Xbox has been pushing their last two projects, the Blair Witch, the Medium, very aggressively. Those have been part of Xbox's showcase. But so there's a possibility that this is a test project. If that's being said, then an acquisition is 5-6 years away, probably.
Oh yeah, it'd be a long way away. Yeah. Although I'd noticed that you mentioned about Kojima and how you thought maybe there was something going on there. I was curious how you came to that.
There's a lot of rumblings about Kojima right now, and there's been I've gotten information that I know for a fact that Phil Spencer and Kojima have met and they've had conversations. What those conversations entail, I don't have the details. I don't have a breakdown, but Phil is breaching, what can we do? What do you want to do? What are you looking to make? Because I think the big pitch for Xbox and Phil Spencer, when he's going to people like Kojima, is what do you want to make? We have the means. We have a way to get your game in more people's hands than ever. What are you looking to do? And offers like that are super enticing. If you can throw in a sack of money and say, hey, we're going to let you do whatever you want, that's a good way to pull people in. That's a good way to get Kojima on board for, whatever that might be. I wish I had information on Kojima is being signed by Xbox. I don't, but
I might.
Oh,
I might.
Oh, yeah? You going to spill it?
No, not here. No, definitely not.
You
can't even talk about it, Nick.
I've got a secret. I can't tell you.
I do. It's funny. I got in a bit of trouble because apparently I accidentally confirmed that Jim Ryan said no to Kojima, which, God, what a mix-up that was. But it's funny, the turn of events with Kojima and how it's kind of turned out that maybe Microsoft's the only one willing to throw the money at him that he needs to do what he wants to do. I don't think it's a secret that Kojima has big budgets for his games.
Yeah.
And spends a lot of money. And obviously Konami had enough. Clearly Sony's no longer interested in throwing that kind of money at him. So I think that the stars have aligned in a good way for him, where Microsoft are out here throwing a lot of money around.
Mm-hmm. They're not afraid to, sweeten that pot. And it would be more like a cred thing, because you have people in the community saying Kojima games don't sell or whatever. We know that's not true. Death Stranding, it sold well. It didn't make enough money for PlayStation to be incredibly happy, but it did not sell poorly.
It was did not well on PC as well.
It wasn't a flop.
It was not a flop by any means. So Kojima projects have a lot of weight in the community. And I think for Xbox, that would be just kind of this really cool, thing in their utility belt. Having a Kojima game, having Kojima in your umbrella opens up a lot of possibilities. And again, I think Phil, when talking to people like Kojima, is going to use Game Pass. Imagine if a game like Death Stranding that had that unique kind of social element was tied to a service like Game Pass.
Yeah. You've got 30 million people here that can just play your game.
There's no fear of, sales numbers. There's no fear of putting out a weird game like Death Stranding and be like, Death Stranding is too weird to sell 10 million copies.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live in a world where that just doesn't exist. Like Death Stranding doesn't get made because it's not going to sell 10 million copies. But realistically, a weird ass game like Death Stranding is not going to sell 10 million copies, which is probably what PlayStation wanted, expected, and that's why they put so much marketing behind it. But
that's right.
I think Game Pass is a much better vessel for Kojima's brand of weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was referring to with stars aligning. So you've got Microsoft just throwing money at stuff, combined with that lure of Game Pass saying, well, look, there's 22 million people just sitting there that want to try out games. Go nuts. Go nuts.
Just
do what you want to do.
Yeah, and that would give him flexibility to make... He wouldn't have to make only massive, huge AAA big-budget games. He could throw in some weird shorts, some weird off-the-wall kind of smaller-scale projects. And for someone like Kojima, I'm sure that's super appealing because that's something a lot of people in the community don't realize is a new IP is such a huge risk, and it's so like stressful and scary and difficult to find a publisher to sign off on that at all.
Yeah.
And so, again, I always joke on my podcast about drinking the Game Pass Kool-Aid, but I think for, creatives like Kojima, that opens up a lot of possibilities that probably are pretty hard for him to just ignore.
Now, here's a question. Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
Like that game and the rumors about it, man, it's been back and forth. They do persist, right? Now, I've also heard rumors. Correct me if I'm wrong. Keep me honest here, boys and girls, because I'm A, not a huge Kojima fan, and B, not a huge horror fan. So Silent Hill doesn't really stay in my brain as a resource for me to tap into. But it's a Konami-owned IP, right? Mm-hmm. Now I've heard lots of rumors again swirling around that Konami are shopping their IPs around, and then you hear, okay, Microsoft's got money, Konami's got an IP. There's rumors of a Silent Hill game, and no one seems to be announcing one anytime soon. And then suddenly, Kojima
wasn't the rumor Bloober doing it?
There was that.
There was that rumor, yeah.
But then Kojima made PT, and PT was tied into the Silent Hill universe in some fashion, somehow, some way.
It was it was a teaser for Silent Hills.
Correct. It was a playable teaser.
So, my brain says PT was hugely successful for what it was. Like, it garnered such a huge fan base and following. If I had the opportunity to buy the IP, get that guy to do PT to Silent Hills, and then release it exclusively on my console, I would be doing that. No?
And that's I think one of the reasons that particular rumor is so strong is because people just want to will it into existence. People want to live in a world where Kojima makes Silent Hills.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear.
And that's another one. People are like,
may as well buy Metal Gear as well
Xbox
and get him making Metal Gear
Kojima
again.
Then he's going to make Metal Gear for Xbox. He's going to make Silent Hill for Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's wild. That sounds fun. I don't think that's really going to be the reality that we live in, that Kojima is going to come to Xbox and pull all of these IP from Konami. But yeah,
Silent Hill, how funny that would be.
It would be insane. It would be so wild.
So funny.
On an Xbox stage at E3 for Kojima to come out and announce Metal Gear Solid reboot. We're starting the series over. It's an Xbox exclusive. Like, people want those just mic drop megaton moments.
They do.
For me, it's not even about Xbox. For me, the hilarity would come from the fact that Konami and Kojima fell out. Microsoft then does a deal with Konami to buy their IP or license out their IP exclusively, and then turns around after partnering with Kojima and goes, well, here you go, you can remake those games again. I just think that the pure hilarity that would come from that Konami wanted to separate from him, only for him to come full circle and be making those games again, and they have no say in it.
There would be a lot of salt out there.
Yeah, because Konami was not super stoked about Silent Hills. Like, as much as people are love that, the way that all played out with Kojima, I just can't imagine a scenario where, at least in the near future, Kojima and Konami even want to work together. If Xbox was to say, here you go, Kojima, you can make a Silent Hill game, you can make a Metal Gear game, I don't know that Kojima even wants to do it right now.
Yeah. But then he could go and make a PT-inspired project for Microsoft, right? It doesn't have to be called Silent Hill.
That's all.
As soon as it's got the Kojima name attached to it, and he says it's going to be like this thing, people will be like, okay.
People want that Kojima horror game now.
Yeah.
Like
that's all I want from him. Yep, that's all I want.
Which is a shame because I probably wouldn't play it because I'm a big wuss.
It was so good though.
Anyway. Before we move on, so Miles, if you've ever watched any of our podcasts, you'll know we have a wonderful Patreon community. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to these guys.
Oh wait, so the rumor mill's over, is it?
Unless you've got something you want to just drop in here, buddy. Have you just got a DM? Like you're just
what juice you got sitting on there?
Come on.
No DMs. I wasn't sure.
He can't help himself, ladies and gentlemen.
I made a post on our forum because I thought it might be slightly hidden there, and someone found it and made a Twitter post out of it. Oh, look, I'll basically repeat what I said on the forum. So everyone knows me, especially on this podcast, as the guy that likes to temper everyone's expectations.
Oh,
particularly.
Okay, E3.
Particularly for Microsoft shows. Like, anytime Microsoft's doing a show, you need to just dial it down a little bit.
You're the guy that comes along with the bucket of water and be like, stop being excited.
I just pour that water on and say, just calm down. This is Microsoft we're talking about. I may have seen some... I may have a list of stuff that's going to be at E3 this year, maybe, possibly. I may have. And I basically said on the forum, look, maybe don't temper your expectations too much.
Now, that's a big deal coming from you, having known you for so many years.
Temper them, but you don't have to temper them too much. Like... Based on what I've seen so far, it should be a reasonable show.
I am excited. Okay, that's a good end to the rumor mill. We'll just take it. We'll accept it into our hearts.
No, I can't say the stuff that's on this list, but it should actually.
You don't want to be the guy that leaks E3.
No, I've got to start to learn to balance. I've got to start to learn the balance between spoiling stuff and ruining stuff and
teasing.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, that was a nice tease, so thank you.
People like a good tease. People don't like spoilers, though. That's not fun.
Yeah, especially for the developers. Especially if they're announcing something cool, you want to, keep it on the down low. But yeah, so it's a good end to the rumor mill. Thank you, Nick. So I was just about to shout out to our patrons. So we have a fantastic Patreon community, which seems to be growing like mad, which is awesome for us because it allows us to do more cool stuff. So a quick shout out to all of our lovely patrons. We've got lots of tip jars and tier 1s, but the tier 2s and 3s. Scarecrow.
There's one tip jar in particular, like absolute gun. Legend.
Yeah. But Scarecrow 121, TornRaptor, Nottian, Shadowgasm, Blast the Base, Big M Ice Coffee Milk, Nodorius, Somnia, Dylan, Saint Irv, Daifuko, Gabquist, VK Andrew, Sewing Shade, K, Knockjack, Keris, and Crazy Spaz. You're all lovely, lovely people. I'm going to say...
RRC? Did we get RRC 1594?
I don't think I've clicked the wrong button. So RRC 94, and I think Tyler as well, who just recently joined, but it didn't update, and we were confused. But there you go. I've said all the names. Now... community questions. Now we take questions from our lovely patrons. Nick will read through them. We'll try and get through these because I'm conscious, I know a lot of people said, Xbox 2's cancelled this week, so you guys better go all out. So, we're 1 hour 45. We'll keep trucking. Miles, you just DM if you need to go, but we'll manage.
It's like early in the afternoon for them too.
Yeah, but people have lives. You've got to take stuff into account.
Whatever. We're the ones that have kids.
It is midnight for me. But look, let's dive in. So our patrons are a weird and wonderful bunch. So I don't usually read the questions. So it's always fun to go into these blind. Go on, Nick.
Okay. All right. First question. The Scarecrow 121. First and best question. With E3 and announcement season coming up quickly, what will you be doing for watching the shows? Popcorn, a cheeky beverage, work? Second quick question. Miles, how do you have the most dreamy eyes of any podcast? Hold on a second. What's wrong with my boring mud brown eyes?
Can't all be about you, Nick. Can't all be about you, buddy. You know, he's got the hair, he's got the good lighting. You know, he's got the setup. He's winning in life right now.
What will we be doing for E3? We'll be live streaming, man.
Yeah, we'll be. You'll be watching, hopefully, and I imagine that will be the same for you and the Windows Central team, Miles, right?
I'll probably be in the trenches, honestly, like because that's a big coverage window for us. So I'll probably be down and dirty in the trenches with the squad, like getting stories up and getting coverage up as soon as we can. So maybe I can convince them to let me do a live stream.
You should, if you can, come to an house. It'll be fun. It is a lot easier because we're lucky. We obviously have a news crew that while all of this is going on and we're sitting here just talking away like chumps, they're like typing away like mad and getting the news stories out. But yeah, it's oh god, you might have noticed Nick is putting on a rather fancy looking
a kimono.
Yeah. And he's pretending to vape because what this means basically is that a Cerys question is coming. And Cerys questions usually have a small essay attached. So who was the first question from there?
That was Scarecrow 1.
Scarecrow, yeah. So we'll be live streaming and we expect you to be there, sir. Okay. Brace
what
ourselves.
time it is?
It's a Cerys question.
Cerys. Okay. I will never drink again. Cerys was smashed in our last episode.
We were live streaming.
I don't know.
She was very drunk.
I don't know if they were para, but yeah. Anyway, Monday morning I was still hungover for some reason. Damn your black heart ouzo. Yeah, I'm Greek and even I don't drink ouzo, although I don't drink. So hungover, I locked us out of the house during the school runs. I had left the key in the inside of our front door and in such a position that we could not turn the key from the outside. Fortunately, I am smart and instructed the builders when building our house to use the same key for any lockable door. Unfortunately, our house only has one door. None of the windows were open. It was -4 and we had neither mobiles nor purses. While my better half walked back to kindergarten to use a phone to call a locksmith, I used the same key to open the garage and search for my cat burglar kit. After some time and searching, I realised I had left the small utility window tilted and fancied I could maybe fashion something to pull it shut and move the handle down to open from tilt. Anyone who has broken into a Mark II Fiesta has used the packing strap loop to pull up the door lock. Yes. So I found a ratchet strap and doing the same, managed to break in after 20 minutes of colourful metaphors, 2 cracked nails, and falling off the stepladder twice. I was in heels. I used the stepladder, not my biological ladder, my stepladder. Anyway, I got in and opened the door to her locksmith arriving. Her locksmith arriving.
Her locksmith.
Yeah. After some laughter and him getting his call-out fee, he looked at the door and advised just how impossible it would have been for him to open the door had I not left that window ajar, and he would have had to rip the whole thing out at no insignificant cost. We asked for him to get us a quote for a new lock, which doesn't need a key from the inside. My question. To decommission. What is the most expensive mistake you very nearly made? That is the question.
That was a tale, and I loved the detail about the packing strap in a Ford Fiesta because I have done that for a friend.
Now, Miles, you now see why the props enter the scene.
Set the tone, get comfortable.
We need a fire.
So I'm telling a story, getting comfortable, and
Are we ready, children? Then he'll begin.
Yeah. So, what is the most expensive mistake you very nearly made?
Ooh, man, that's a really tough question. I should read these beforehand, but they take the fun out of
probably it. Should.
Expensive mistake I very nearly made.
Yeah, no, that's a tough question, isn't it?
Man,
it's a tough one. I got one if I can.
Go on,
chime
you
in.
go, and it'll give us an opportunity. Go.
So growing up, I was a musician. Played a lot of music with my buddies. We had a metal band for a while, and so I lived in this really small town out in the outskirts in Washington. And then I moved to the big city. I moved to Seattle to go to college, and I was still jamming with some buddies. But I was super small town. Didn't lock my car, didn't lock our house door when we'd leave, like that kind of vibe. So I go to band practice with some buddies. I get home late. It's probably like 9 or 10 at night. I come in, I leave my guitar case in my back seat of my car, and go to sleep, come out. Next morning, 2 of my windows are smashed out, completely smashed out. Guitar stolen, stereo's ripped out. Like my car is like gutted. Because I left my guitar in my back seat, not even thinking about it. I didn't even think it would be an issue, but somebody saw that guitar, busted out the window, stole it, and then just took the extra effort to steal my stereo too. I was like, wow.
Jerks.
So that was
that was like expensive mistake.
That was a $800 guitar. So it was that was.
You didn't nearly make that mistake. You made it.
that
wasn't a nearly. You made
it.
Well, do you know? It's funny. I actually thought of mine, and it's also guitar related.
I've got 2 now.
I was at a band practice, and a friend of mine, I'd recently bought a brand new Ibanez bass, and I loved it, and it was gorgeous, and it sounded great, and I was like, and I was a guitar player, so bass was new to me. It's kind of easier in some respects, but I was learning it, and I was enjoying it, and a mate of mine at the band, the drummer, he was like, "Dude, I've bought you a present," and then he gave it to me, and it was this ridiculously pink, fluffy bass guitar strap, very girly, very silly. I was like, okay, thanks, buddy. I put it on, and I don't know what the practice rooms are like where you guys are, if any of you have been in bands, but this was it was on a farm. It was a cold cement floor. There was no carpets or anything like that. It was rough, but it was good acoustics, I suppose. And we're about 60 seconds into a set or a song. And I've had this guitar for 2 days, and it was equally, I think it was about £600 worth of bass, and at a young age of 21, that was a lot of money. And the pink strap just gave way, just completely snapped, because it was a cheap piece of crap, and my bass guitar went smash straight into the concrete floor, and the whole wooden body just shattered.
Oh, geez.
And I stood there like internally screaming, and I was so angry. This is your fault for that stupid strap. And I say it was a very expensive mistake I nearly made, because I thought the bass was completely ruined. Thankfully, it still worked. Everything still worked. It just looked like absolute garbage now. So I didn't have to spend anything, but it was a mistake. So it didn't cost me anything, but I was very cross at trusting that strap. There you go. That's mine.
I have 2 quick ones. And they're both, one I made and one I nearly made. The one that doesn't relate to gaming, came home late one night and completely forgot to lock the 2 front doors. So the whole night was spent with open front doors. May not sound like much, but when you've got stuff like I've got here and someone could just stroll in the middle of the night, grab everything and walk out, that's a big mistake I nearly made.
Yep.
The gaming one that I made, I didn't nearly make it, was probably buying that Oculus Quest 2, which I never use. That's an expensive mistake. $700 later, and I never use that thing. I need to start using it, but I never use that Oculus.
Yeah.
Ever.
Go on, Figments. You've got to queue it up. You've had all the time now. It's better be good.
I've been thinking of what to, of what it would be, and are
you looking around your room for clues?
Yes, I am. I'm like, what in here was a mistake? But
we're looking at it, mate. We're looking at it.
Thanks.
It's okay. You can say you don't have one.
Oh, I'll tell you. This is a mistake I did make. I built a PC for my friend last summer because I was bored. I had a stimulus check. Didn't really have anything else to spend it on. So I decided to build one of my my friends. Shut up. I decided to build one of my friends a pretty decent PC for his birthday. I wasn't gonna ask him for any money. I literally was just gonna build it and give it to him. I spent around, I want to say, $1,200 in total building this computer for him.
Wow.
And everything worked fine. It was like, okay, here's your birthday gift. Don't ever ask me for anything again. I don't want, and don't ever give me anything. I don't want anything. I gave you what I thought was pretty cool. I don't need to give you anything. You don't need to give me anything. We're done. There we go. Happy birthday. Come 3 months later, he calls me at like 7 a.m, telling me, hey, something's wrong. My computer won't start. I'm like, oh God, please no. It's only been 3 months. And I go over to his house. We start running diagnostics, making sure everything, just checking to see what could possibly be broken. Turns out it was the $300 graphics card had decided to fail in the middle of a Windows update. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Just, it's sitting on my shelf right now because I had to give him my old graphics card to replace it so he can have the PC to use, because he needed that, because he's an engineering student, so he has to run a lot of AutoCAD, and he needs the muscle to power through all these different blueprints and whatever on CAD. So he needed something, so I gave him my old graphics card. But that was the stupidest thing. The whole buying that fucking graphics card was the stupidest thing I've ever done, because it was a shitty MSI card that I didn't read the reviews on that said, oh, this card breaks, like has problems.
Surely you got
firmware.
warranty though, right? You can get that back.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't buy the warranty. I expected it to just work.
Does it not come with a warranty? Like,
Yeah,
how does America work with this
It
stuff?
has a 1 year limited warranty. I could still technically return it, but I don't want to bother contacting customer support and boxing it up to send it back.
Oh man,
So
send it to me. I'll box it up and send it back.
Then you're your own worst. You're your own worst enemy. Then
Not boxing it up is the mistake you made. It's cost you a load of money.
Like, this is a mistake you can fix. It's not too late.
yeah.
That was a fun question, Cerys. Thank you.
Okay, DeoGame. Hello, esteemed hosts and guests. Esteemed host is good. That's better than panel. It's been a quieter week for Xbox, but there is a rumor. There is a rumor that we will see some more FPS Boost titles next week.
Mm-hmm.
Which games do you think would really benefit from an unlocked frame rate? Personally, we did. Personally, Dishonored 2, Yakuza 6, and the Fable trilogy should be high on the list of priorities.
Oh, hey, they're ones we didn't talk about, so
yeah,
fair play to him. He's picked some good ones there.
Yeah. Look, everyone would have a truck. Like, the beauty of the list apparently being 70 games long is that it should cover
70?
most.
I thought the initial tease
was 50, but 50 apparently plus. I've seen some, 50 plus, but I've seen some other Twitter chatter, insider, whatever the hell you want to call it. Insiders are all bullshit.
Especially him.
That's why you're not one, right, Nick?
That's
no, he's
why
just
I'm
a good
banned
guesser.
for 6 months. Apparently it's now like 70 or more. So if that's true, and it is like in the 70 plus range, surely that covers, you'd think would cover most people's wish lists.
Was the tease even like, no, there's going to be 50 plus, 70 plus games dropped all at once. Here's all the FPS boosts. Or was it like, we're going to spread these out?
It says
was Tom Warren.
Just says 50,
The
50
tease
plus.
was literally just 50 plus, and then underneath that 60/120 FPS. That was the tease.
Yeah.
In terms of what the information that he put out there. I've heard that 70 figure as well from a few other people. Again, the insider rings or whatever the fuck you want to go. But I haven't seen the master list. I would love to see it.
Hmm.
But
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
So would I.
To be a fly on the wall of the meeting where they decided what games they're going to focus on upgrading the frame rate for.
They have said it's popularity.
Yeah.
They have said it's based on like platform popularity. Or I think Colt Eastwood reached out to somebody from the Xbox team, asked them how they are going to decide the list, and it's based off like the combination. Because he asked, is it going to focus on first party? And they said it's going to focus on a combination of first party and like essentially what's most popular, what's being played most.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay. I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense. Having said that, though, does that make sense? Because if the games are already popular, then that would suggest they don't need the boost. Why not boost older games to rejuvenate them?
Well, it depends how you measure popularity. Do you measure popularity in terms of sales? Do you measure it in terms of user requests on a forum? Do you measure it...
Yeah, it's probably partially how many times are we getting harassed on Twitter about this game? Like, if we're getting 50 messages a day, all right, we're going to try so you can just stop. Like me.
Dark Souls 3, just over and over.
Dark Souls 3, over and over. Jason Ronald, come on, dude. Don't hold out on me. What's going on? And the thing that sucks is it's based on the publisher, and I feel like Bandai is one of those publishers that's going to say no.
Yeah.
They're going to say, you can't FPS boost this because we're going to sell you that Dark Souls 3 remaster here in 3 months.
Yeah.
But it's because they have basically said as long as the engine supports it, they can do it, but they're not going to do it without asking the publisher first. Yeah. So
even the FPS boost?
Yeah. They have said with FPS boost, they're not going to do it without a publisher's permission.
You're kidding.
No, that is something that they have said.
I didn't because that's stupid. They should just do it.
Yeah, that seems dumb to me too.
I think it's a relationship thing. Like they don't want to like sour relationships with publisher. If a publisher has a plan to remaster or resell a game, like I'm sure that's the reason for it. And I could see Bandai being one of those companies who's like, nah. We're gonna resell you Dark Souls, so don't you dare!
You're gonna buy it, Miles.
Dark Souls collection.
You're gonna buy it.
I'll be the idiot that buys it.
Seems odd to me. That you need the publisher's permission to improve their game free of charge and with no involvement from them.
It would. It's not odd if it's going to possibly affect. If the biggest banner of an improvement of a remaster is a frame rate increase and you can get it for free on the copy you already own, a lot of people will just go for that rather than drop another 60 quid on the game.
I am not going to argue that it's not cool of a publisher to be like, no.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a shady, scummy thing to do if Xbox can do it and is willing to do it. But I also get Xbox wanting to play nice with their publisher partners.
Yeah, no. Okay, so here's a tangent while we're talking about this then.
Okay.
Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
Ninja Gaiden, right? The collection's coming.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an Xbox owner, you already have the best version of Ninja Gaiden Black at 4K 60 basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ninja Gaiden 2, was that enhanced as well?
I think it was already at 60, but yes, it basically can power through. But I don't think it was enhanced to 4K.
I don't think it's 4K.
No,
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so if you're on Xbox, you've already effectively got the best Ninja Gaiden trilogy, and allegedly the new one is the Sigma collection, which is not as good as what we already have.
Yeah.
Do we think we're then in a time where once that trilogy comes out, Tecmo then pulls those Xbox games?
No, because, I would say to you that Ninja Gaiden Black is no longer on Game Pass. It was, and now it's not.
No. Yeah, I mean, pulls them from Xbox altogether.
No. I don't think so.
Delists them.
Because there's other enhancements to that trilogy collection that didn't exist. Like, for example, Ninja Gaiden Black or Ninja Gaiden Sigma will now have achievements where it didn't before because it's now an Xbox Series S X1 game.
Yeah.
And there'll be extra content. There'll probably be texture improvements and stuff that the backwards compat versions can't do. I haven't looked too heavily into the Ninja Gaiden trilogy as to whether it's going to have a bunch of extra bells and whistles beyond better performance generally and better resolution. But if there's better texture work and effects work and stuff, I don't know. Maybe I saw the action trailer and I was like,
Yeah, well, I've been waiting for Ninja Gaiden 2 to go on sale because it's still $50 Australian,
worth
which
it.
is
Good game.
so annoying. And then someone on Twitter, because I brought this up on Twitter, and someone on Twitter's like, they'll probably delist them when the collection comes out, and I'm like, oh god, like, do I just buy it for $50 or do I? Because you know what I should do? I should do a public service, buy it for $50 because then it's going to drop in price.
Yeah.
Sod's
law.
Yeah, take one for the team. Do it.
The sale, and I will take the hit for all of you, and I will buy it for $50.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Savior.
I'm hoping they don't delist it because we did see that with Doom 1 and 2, which made me really salty. Doom 1 and 2 on Xbox 360 had online multiplayer. As soon as those other versions came into existence, the Doom 1 and 2 with online multiplayer is now, you can't buy it.
So I missed out on 2. I didn't grab 2.
So do I. I own 1, but not 2. I'm like, no.
Yes, I didn't grab 2 before they delisted it. I was like, no.
Shocking.
So I hope it's not that situation. But.
That's what I'm worried about. Are they going to pull there's these better versions already there on Xbox. I don't think we're going to sell much on Xbox. Maybe we should just pull those 3 versions from the store.
I hope not. I really do. It would be a dick move. But we'll see. Good question.
I may have to pay up the $50, I think.
Yep. What have we got next?
Okay. RRC 1594. Hello. What genres or types of games? What genres or types of games Microsoft will invest in that they probably wouldn't without Xbox Game Pass? With the rumor of the Project Dragon game being a looter game, this gives me
that looter bit's coming from. But
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, that's why as soon as I saw that, I was like, what? This gives me hope that Microsoft will want their hands on everything. We sort of discussed this. Like, that's the beauty of Game Pass. It does allow Microsoft to take a lot of risks. It allows them to allow their partners to take a lot of risks.
I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to plug a really great article that One Bad Mother did for the site again, which was can Game Pass, is Game Pass really the Netflix of games? And it's interesting because about 5 days before we published ours, Jez wrote one that says comparing Game Pass to Netflix is a terrible idea, and here's why. But One Bad Mother does a good job because he talks about how Satya used to follow around the Netflix CEO and attend meetings and learned a lot about how Netflix did things. And he talks about how Netflix suddenly ramped up the growth when they started making originals, when they started going into family-friendly content, when they, with the advent of 4G and so on countries. And there are parallels you can draw. And I think if you're talking about genres Microsoft need, and I think Phil is on record for this, is that they need more games. E for everyone content.
Yes.
I think that if you look at them as in terms of genre coverage, FPS, they've got the they've got the best FPS games in the business now. Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, Halo. It's unbeatable. They've got third-person shooters. They've got the best racing series with Forza Horizon.
Western RPGs locked down.
So they've got racing in terms of arcade and sim. They've got RPGs locked down, as you said. And what haven't they got? They haven't got a really good, solid Banjo remaster or remake. You stupid motherfuckers. I know. I didn't mean that. I didn't.
Pinata. They don't know.
Viva Pinata.
Viva Pinata now. Oh,
there's a lot of stuff that they could really. I mean, look how well Animal Crossing has done.
I know.
I'd argue it's done so well because it's on Switch and it's something you can walk around with in your pocket. But now xCloud's a thing. Guys, bring back Viva Pinata in some form. Make it happen. Do all the things that Animal Crossing kind of does, but because it's Nintendo and they suck at doing online, just do them a million times better. And you might be onto a winner. I don't know.
Just buy Nintendo. I also
don't see why Viva Pinata couldn't be an type exception where you make a native Switch port.
Yeah.
Viva Pinata, if you were to do a modern day Viva Pinata.
Well, they did a Viva Pinata on the DS.
On the DS, that's right. So, I don't know. I'll say it. I'll take it to my grave. Like, Viva Pinata would just work now. Like, this is the time to have a Viva Pinata game. Like,
We've had
make it a mobile gacha game.
Yeah. Jeez.
Spend $5 to get a new pinata.
No.
5-star platinum rate pinata.
It would work so well. It would work so well. But yeah. Yes, sorry, RRC. Yes, I think they will try. There'll be all sorts of crazy stuff. I think Kojima will probably do crazy stuff, and based on the dragon thing and all that sort of stuff, it looks like they're going to encourage ambitious and experimental projects thanks to Game Pass.
Hooray!
Agreed? Yes.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
maybe.
I think the panel.
Yeah, they're going to do
agrees.
anything and everything. I think that's
Anything and
what's going to be in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Doncabesa. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if Jesse knew that Figments was going to be on. Hello, John. You're great. Nick, you're the best. And Miles, your hair is fantastic.
Thanks.
2 questions from me.
Oh,
there was nothing,
poor Figments.
and
Left
that's
out.
why I said I don't know if he knew Figments was going to be on. 2 questions from me. What product do you use to make it look so good? and is Jez's full name Jeremy or Jezemy?
Jezemy?
What?
Jezemy's not a name.
No, it's not
I love it.
It's going to be now.
I've already said his full name must be Jeremy. But yes, what product do you use to make your hair look so good, Miles?
Well, it's a 3-part system. First step is I use a mousse when my hair's wet to set the hairspray, and then from there I blow dry it up, and then I use a texturizing putty to get the texture just so, and then I use a light dusting of firm hold hairspray.
If I don't see this as a clip on Twitter,
Look through it.
Just light,
you walk into it, yeah.
like perfume. Yep, like perfume. Just walk into it, let it dust, and that's it. That's my. There you go. That's my pro tip.
Amazing. This has to be a clip on Twitter. If I don't see this tomorrow at some point scrolling through, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Make the clip yourself, dude. Then it'll be guaranteed.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I will. Maybe the power rests in my hands. Good question, Dom.
Our new mystery patron that for some reason doesn't appear, Tyler. Okay. Hello, John, Miles, and panel. Wow. That's a
Wow.
Nick's telling us to go screw ourselves, I guess.
That's a new level of rude.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's right. It's the right level.
Two-part question. First, Jez mentioned that one of the four he mentioned is a spin-off, and that all the games have multiplayer. Is that true, Miles?
I don't. Jez might have mentioned that one of them is a spin-off on Xbox 2. I think he said there's 3 new IP and one is a spin-off, if I remember what he said on. So that is that is the assumption right now, is that 3 are new IP and one is a spin-off.
A spin-off?
And that all have multiplayer?
Gears or Halo, but I would like to see Sumo do a karting game. Maybe even with the Crackdown IP. Thoughts?
Crackdown kart?
Crackdown
Yeah.
kart?
Yeah.
Is that the return of Crackdown you want?
Yeah, I don't know, a spin-off. I honestly didn't realize that Jez had mentioned a spin-off. God, I mean, Microsoft has so many IP. That spin-off could be of anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've got tactics. They've got the strategy spin-offs already for both Halo and Gears. Surely if there is a spin-off as part of this 4 or whatever, surely it's of a different IP. Isn't it? Surely.
I'd hope it's not Halo or Gears.
Yeah, me
as a
too.
spin-off.
Yeah, I don't know what, I can't say too much, but it's not Halo or Gears for the spin-off.
Good.
That's good then.
Yeah, so I'll say that at least. It's not Halo or Gears.
I'm glad, because...
But then it makes me wonder, what would it be a spin-off of?
What would it be? Huh.
But again, there's so
the
many
possibilities are endless.
Well,
it could
you
be
say
a
that, the
spin-off of
possibilities
this
are
IP.
endless, but spin-off implies spin-off off of a franchise worthy to spin off of. right? You know, like I'm not. You say they've got a lot of IP. I'm not picturing a spin-off of an IP that's not been touched in 20 years.
Could be Voodoo Vince. I don't know. Voodoo Vince spin-off?
That's Phil's favorite game, maybe.
But this is the thing, though. Not always. Maybe the spin-off is, and Miles maybe is internally laughing and going, "Ha, you dumb bastards." Now, the spin-off could be like, so maybe this is IP, and the reason it's dormant for so long is because the game was never that good in its form. Maybe someone at Microsoft was like, "But what if we do this version of this?" And someone was like, "Oh my god, that's an amazing idea. Let's go with that." And that's the spin-off. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. Like,
there's probably passionate people sitting at Xbox who love a weird, obscure IP, and they're like, why aren't we doing anything with this?
That's right.
So I'm sure those conversations happen all the time. Like, I'm pushing for Phantom Dust hard.
Yeah.
Where's my Phantom Dust reboot?
Phil,
I know you're a big Phantom Dust guy. What's going on?
Yeah, I happen to know that Jez is a big MechAssault fan. And I completely agree with him. And that's why I talk about Chromehounds with so much love, is because I think Chromehounds did that online theatre of war. The two sides or three sides, and you had the map and you could do the fights. But then MechAssault is the IP with all of the Timberwolves and the cool mechs from my childhood. I want that back. I really do. Like, it's a game that needs to happen.
And that's what I mean. It could be something like that. Maybe, brute force wasn't good, but maybe someone...
God. I don't think anyone internally at Xbox likes brute force.
Maybe someone at Microsoft thought of a way to bring back brute force as something else.
Over Phil's dead body. I think he hates that game.
Brute force, let's go. Will it into existence. If you want it to be a reality, just believe it hard enough and it'll happen, guys. Yeah. That's how it works.
That's how it has to be. Good question.
Like Palestine.
And welcome to the community, Tyler.
Well, that's only the first part of the question.
Part
second.
2. Sequel.
Second.
Spin-off.
It seems there are quite a lot of titles in development under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella right now. Last gen, they put out just over 30 titles. How many titles do you think they can manage to put out in the next 7 years with their 23 studios and publishing teams? Probably more than 30.
I need a calculator for this equation, sir.
I mean, they did almost 10 just last year, didn't they?
Yeah. Man.
I mean, Xbox Game Pass is the future. I mean, we're in a position right now where they want that original content. They want people in Game Pass, and they want people to see something in Game Pass every month that makes them say, I'm keeping my sub, or I'm getting a sub.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be near term, but we're going to get to a point where there's some Xbox published game coming to Game Pass probably every other month. Like that is going to be the cadence that they're shooting for, and they're going to fill those off months with third-party partnerships or third-party deals, and
or indies and stuff. Yeah.
So in 7 years, I don't know,
hundreds.
We could see 100 in 7 years. I mean, if everything goes perfectly, everything that they envision is going to happen the way it does. Their multiple teams are going to fire those games in the cadence that they're looking for. If all those things line up, we could see over 100 in 7 years.
One thing, go on.
And that's what I was about to say. That's also discounting more studios or publishers being bought.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Like, I think I saw someone do the math and say that if Microsoft wanted to release a AAA Microsoft first-party published and developed game every quarter, so that makes sense, every 3 months, they would need something, I think it was like 30-something studios, something around that mark, so they're like nearly there. But, as you say, Miles, there's going to be a combo of third-party partnerships and, timed exclusive deals, whatever. But one thing I think Microsoft absolutely need to do, and I feel like they're just starting to. I don't think this year is going to be too different from the standard Microsoft fare of really quiet for the first 7 months of the year, loads of games from September onwards. But I think the rest of the industry has proven you can have a banging success releasing a game in any month as long as it's a good game. And I wish, and maybe Game Pass will help Microsoft get over that hump of not being afraid to release games that aren't releasing in the fall. But Game Pass. That's what's going to achieve that, right? So we'll see. Good question though.
Be a lot. Okay, last question.
Last question?
Yeah.
Very last. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just checking.
TornRaptor. Okay. G'day, Nick, John, and Miles. Again, I don't think they knew that Cairo was on. I'll just say g'day, Nick, John.
You could have ad-libbed it. You could have ad-libbed it in, but you're just getting the salt and the lemon and just rubbing it into the wound.
I'm too honest for my own good. I have found that as I have aged, that my patience has increased immeasurably, and I am only 39. It does help greatly at times like these when great lengths of times are between new games. I am happy to just go back and play old favourites or hit up GamePass to look for a nice small indie game. Anyway, my question is, do you have any idea when Grounded is reaching its 1.0 release? Secondly, what are the chances Microsoft would try to acquire IP that newer studios have worked on in the past, like Obsidian's Alpha Protocol, for example? I don't know about Grounded.
I think Grounded is targeting summer.
0.9.
It is
just hit 0.9, so it's really close. Next couple months, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe E3 Shadow Drop.
Could be. Yeah.
Could be.
It's a great little game. It's got to be said.
I love it. It's in terms of like streamlining the survival experience, that team killed it. It is one of the best like playing.
Yeah.
Even in early access. Like,
it was so smooth.
I was deep into stuff like Ark. Like the fundamental like hardcore survival games, and those were janky, ugly, buggy, broken games.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to play one in that space that wasn't a complete mess.
Yeah.
So I got to give that team props for even in early access, like actually looking at where other survival games failed and like streamlined it.
And the hook is so unique, and the look of the game is so nice as well. Like it's a really pretty little game, and I played it a bunch, and then I was like, I'm gonna get burnt out if I just hammer this and get addicted to it, so I stopped after the first ever Insider release. I've just stopped. I haven't touched, I haven't looked, because I'm just waiting for the same as who asked the question? Was it TornRaptor? Same as TornRaptor. I'm waiting for the 1.0 release, and that's when I'm going to go back in. I'm going to have some fun, but yeah, it's a great little game. 14 developers or something like that. Mad.
Yeah, super
really
small team.
It looks great. Kudos to those guys. Yep. It's an awesome idea.
Yeah. Yep. And the other part of the question?
Will they buy IP from studios they've recently acquired that have worked on games?
That have worked on... So Alpha Protocol, was that Sega?
No. Christ.
I think it was published by Sega. I think you're right.
Yeah, you might be. Yes, you are. It is Sega. And that was the Spy RPG, right?
I can't remember. I never played it.
Futuristic kind of RPG, sci-fi RPG.
I thought it was the you're a spy and you've got conversation and dialogue options, and I can't remember fully. But
you might be right. I never played it.
Yeah, I think you are right.
But I don't know, man. I guess if the team that worked on it were like, we really want another stab at this. Hey, dear overlords, can you go and buy the IP back? Yeah, maybe. I don't see.
That's probably the only scenario where I see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think Microsoft's going to just randomly go out and go to
just start buying out Protocol
or whoever. I mean, like, look, we have a team now that used to work on this game. Can we just buy it? Like, my assumption is that should that team request it and say, look, we absolutely loved what we did on Alpha Protocol. You guys are pretty chummy with Sega at the moment. Can we make a phone call about either we get to make it again or you guys just buy the IP outright?
Yeah, I could see a world in where that conversation could happen, but it would have to have a lot of passion behind it for whatever dev team wanted to come back, right? And Microsoft would have to be sold on the idea of bringing an IP back, especially if it underperformed or it didn't have much love the first time round. Why would we need to do that? Couldn't you make it with a different name, different hat on, so to speak? So, yeah, it's not impossible, but who's to know?
I think Microsoft should focus on putting all these new teams on their own IP that they've been neglecting before spending money on others. Like I don't think people truly grasp how much IP Microsoft has. Like there's so much dead and dormant IP that they have that just from Rare alone, it's an insane amount. Forget everything else. Just Rare. Like,
and Rare's in an interesting position where they don't want to revisit those IP.
No.
Like, Rare has no interest in revisiting those, but there's, as we saw with Battletoads, somebody wants it. Somebody wants to take a Rare IP and just give it, another crack at it, and let's go. Like you said, Viva Pinata. In this day and age, after Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, we've seen all these games like evolve and grow. Whew.
Why
let's
not?
Go.
We can hope.
Make it free to play. Put it on mobile, Switch, tablet, Xbox.
Well, Viva Pinata was originally meant to be a mobile game, which surprised me.
It would work,
but it makes
sense. It
sense.
doesn't need to be a graphical showcase.
Yeah,
it's Viva Pinata. Just make it cute and fuzzy, and make it run well, and make it like reliable and not janky. And
never mind.
Make it killer.
Never mind.
Kids would just
can't win everything. Come on now.
Kids would go nuts. Kids would go nuts, wanting to buy candy and then buying outfits for their pinatas and trying to get their pinatas to fall in love. And come on.
You can tell someone is very, very big.
You're very passionate about Viva Pinata.
Very passionate.
I respect you.
It's such a good game.
Which is why it's gonna make so much. It's gonna fill your heart with joy when they announce the Viva Pinata mobile gacha game. It's just gonna make you so happy.
Okay.
There's just some stuff that just
Now,
anyway.
I know we're at the end of our community questions, but I'm gonna throw because we're coming up, as we said, it's like 5 weeks to E3, right? So every podcast, the March begins, the hype starts to bubble up, right? So here's the question, and Miles, you can answer first. Years and years ago, Sony did their E3 of Dreams, where they somehow announced everything that everyone had hoped. Yeah, everyone had hoped for. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Shenmue, and what was the third dream that came true for everybody? I can't remember.
Oh,
was it God of War? Was it God?
No,
was that the same year as God of War?
No, there were 3 things. I can't remember what the third one was. But regardless,
it wasn't Last Guardian. I don't know. I can't remember.
It might have been The Last Guardian. Finally got release date.
Yeah.
But it was the E3 of Dreams, and you had all the pundits going, "Oh!" on their live streams and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's E3 2021. Microsoft show starts. We know it's going to be attached or followed by the Bethesda show if they're separated or delineated in some fashion. What would it take for it to be your E3 of Dreams? What would need to be announced? Just for you. Doesn't matter about anyone else, not for the success of Microsoft or Xbox. Your personal E3 of Dreams. And you can say Dark Souls 3 remaster for free.
I was about to say, we're not restricted to first party, are we?
No, you can, whatever. Your personal E3 of Dreams on a Microsoft show.
All right, so we're E3 of Dreams this year for me. Phantom Dust reboot. Bringing it back. They have the perfect team ready to rock. It's going to be a massive, big budget campaign, multiplayer arena game. That comes back. Dead Rising, they reboot. We're doing a collaboration between Undead Labs and Capcom, tag teaming it. They said, let's go. Undead Labs, Undead Labs, you guys know zombies. We trust you. We've seen what you've done. Here's Dead Rising. Let's go. They collaborate on that. Boom. Dead Rising reboot. Phantom Dust reboot. And then, you know what? We're going all reboots. Otagi. From Software says, you know what?
Choice.
Xbox, we love this relationship we're building. We loved what we did with Otagi on the original Xbox.
Man,
I think it's time to bring it back. Boom, Otagi reboot, Xbox exclusive. Let's go. E3 of Dreams for me. Pretty niche, but beautiful. That would be...
Otagi, man, that was a gorgeous, gorgeous game. Oh, is it wrong now that I'm actually starting to hope that suddenly appears on the back combat list?
Where is it?
Where is it? It had a sequel as well. There was Otagi 2 as well.
Yeah, there's 2 that are not.
Shouldn't be any licensing issues.
Come on,
Xbox
Shouldn't be any licensing issues.
I want it. Oh, that's a good one. That's good. There you go. That's a little tease into the mind of Miles and his E3 of Dreams. And I think we've got guests almost lined up every week now up until E3, more or less. I think so, kinda. So it'll be interesting. We'll collect a smorgasbord of E3 of Dream ideas going up into E3. We'll have to see. Maybe create a bingo card. I think a week before E3, give our E3 of Dreams. Because we have to be careful with.
We also have to do a prediction show too.
There'll be a prediction show.
Gotta have the prediction show.
That's the fun part. It's the fun part of it.
Yeah, predictions got to be predictions, though. It's got to be fun, you know?
Yeah. I have to keep Ed away from predictions because
it's not a prediction if you know.
Yeah.
Okay? YouTubers out there.
I will get one out there. I will get one prediction out there for E3. I think Halo's going to be there.
Big if
suspicion,
huge if realistic.
Just gut instinct is telling me Halo's probably going to make a small appearance. Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I heard it was cancelled.
Yeah, I heard it's been delayed to 2022 for reasons of COVID. Well, look, it's been a really good time having you on, Miles. It's thoroughly appreciated.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll hope to have you on again at some point in the near future. For everybody else, this is your Xbox Era podcast for the weekend. Enjoy, have fun, stay safe. If you're in the UK and near a co-op, I can wholeheartedly recommend you go out and try the katsu curry flavoured crisps. I've tried them at the weekend; they're really good. And I think that's about it from us. So
please like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials.
All of that jazz.
I know there's
some Greeks that
watching.
Like button.
Yes.
What's up, guys?
Some Greeks watching. So Christos Anesti, Alithos, all those things for Greek/Orthodox Easter, because I know there's a few watching.
Yep. And we'll see you all wonderful people next time round.
Ciao for
See
now,
ya, everybody.